I'm not going to make you wait this time because you know what? It's Ace Day. And if you're not here to celebrate and give your Prime to me or just your view, that's ace-phobic today, so you have to be here and listen to my stream. And if you want to go do something else, you have to leave the tab open because otherwise it's a hate crime today. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm live today. I think it's getting too dark and I can't tell what kind of lighting's going to be good. So let me try a little thing here because I think... Is that better? Or did it look better when it was bright? Or I could do that and then flick that back on, but give it a second. I don't know which is better. Or is that better? I don't know. There were 3 options and you'd have to remember what all 3 looked like. So I don't really know how to help you with that. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Hello. It's getting dark. Dark is cozy. So, okay. 1, pretend this is an eye test. 1 or 2. I actually think I prefer 1 now that I'm seeing them side by side. But now what if I did this? Now what if I added another 3rd option? No, nothing happened. Oh, actually, that's better. I can see the difference. I don't know if you could. It was very negligible. I almost wasn't going to stream today, and then it has been a long day, and I came from Disney. Let me try that again. I need, like, another type of light, maybe, around. Is that just better for stream in general? I don't know how to do dark evening lighting. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it. How many lamps do I have? Too many. There's also one down there, but it's not on. There's that one. There's 2 key lights here. There's a spotlight lamp in front of me pointed at the wall. And then there's little fairy lights. And then I actually also have a plain white tab open on my browser because if I don't... Oh, wait, is this the best one? Uh-oh, wait. I think I might have found... I feel like it still could be cozier, but I feel like I need maybe a more substantial colored light in front of me for if there's no other light happening, but I think we'll stay here. This feels fine. This is good. It's warm. It's comfy. It's cozy. Hey, Aces. What are you doing here? If you're not here, thanks for supporting us. If you're not here supporting us, why do you hate us? It's cozy but bright at the same time. But not like too bright, right? But not like too bright? Not too bright. That's what we're looking for. Alice, thank you for the 200 bits. Spritza, thank you for subscribing. Zubria, thank you for the gifted sub. Rosita, Jacqueline Moon, Shan Hoot, and Vampkiss, thank you guys for subscribing. I appreciate it. What does my mug say? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I had a great time at Disney. I got ears. I got yellow ones because I thought they were cute and they're just like solid yellow, but they're a nice texture and the bow part kind of fills with air, so when you squish it, it's really satisfying. It's like a stress ball on a pair of ears. It was a good time. It was fun. I love it down there. We got to go on like 4 rides, which is pretty good for Disney, especially at spring break, and we didn't realize that till we got there. And there were loads of people and like whole trips, whole school trips. Oh wait, I forgot. I'm supposed to... This is better. I can't open the thing. Well, I didn't have any reason to have that open. Unless we do Am I the Asshole later. If we get through all of our educational period of this stream. But I also could talk about this forever because people are never going to stop not understanding it. This is the curse that we all bear. Is follower mode still on? When was that put on? I don't even recall that having ever happened, and I don't remember why it would have happened, but it probably should not be in a follower only. Yasmin Solar? Oh, did MCC get crazy? Oof. How do we get it off? Whoa. How do we get it off Follower only. Bye, Autumn. Thanks for popping in. Well, I don't know what you're talking about with my mug. I have no idea. I can't read. Nismo, thank you for subscribing. Faith Moore Carter. Thor Fory, thank you for the 100 bits. Chonky Mushroom Frog, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Who's on follower only? I really don't know. How do I know if it is or not anymore now? I don't know how to tell. Nature Wife angst. There's a lot of angst. There's a lot of angst. But it makes for a good ending later. It makes for good character development. Okay, cool. We're good. The people deserve to know this information. Ya fave Alex, thank you for subscribing. Okay, thank you for gifting 10 subs. Thank you for gifting. Appreciate it. Thank you. Lots of people tell me they found out they were ace because of me. That's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. I don't know. That's the real... That makes me feel happy about coming out because, let's be honest, sometimes we're going to be here being like, I wish I never told anyone ever. Because it does, without a doubt, once you tell people and you're openly ace, makes your life a little bit harder, sadly. But also, I think, in a good way where it's pretty much weeding out the bad people that you wouldn't want to know anyway. And dodging bullets left and right out here. But it's also tough. And I think I went on a little bit of a tangent on Twitter about it because there's so many things that people just say to people when they know that they're asexual that are like way out of pocket. And it's like, what do you think? Why do you think that's okay suddenly? Why do you think that's okay now that you know that I'm ace? To say completely inappropriate and invasive things or questions or comments that no one asked you to have any input on. I do want to make an updated video. Am I just ace or am I ace arrow? I am just ace. I do not identify as a romantic. I thought it was ace day on 610. I think there's two because today's is international. And then I do believe Americans have a national ace day. So we do get 2 days out of the whole year. And that's pretty cool. Not gonna lie. That's really awesome, really cool, really fun. And sick. Minty Kitty, thank you for subscribing. Starcross, thank you. Pebbles Ink, thank you. Thank you guys. The questions are insane. As soon as, and I feel like this is also relatable to other sexualities and just different gender identities, period, because people always, as soon as you let them know a detail about a gender and sexual preference, they're suddenly out of pocket invasive questions for all of them, and it's so weird that they think it's appropriate all of a sudden. Because me telling you what my sexuality is means that you're allowed to ask all of the most personal questions ever. But that's not an invitation at all. You don't need to know any of those details to understand anybody's sexuality. And I'm just sick and tired of it. It's a load of crap. Basically, what I was talking about today on Twitter regarding it, well, this has happened before, too, where just people out of nowhere, out of like, completely unprompted, complete strangers, will tell me they wouldn't date me because I'm asexual. Who goddamn asked? I wasn't wondering about it. What makes you think I would have been interested anyways? I'm not. Not looking. Assuming makes an ass out of you and me. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. And it's something that also, I have too much, I think, pride when it comes down to arguments whether when it comes to talking about asexuality, it's tough because some people might want to share explicit details to make it like share their complete experience. I have no interest in doing that. I don't want you to know anything about my private life at all. Please don't think about it ever. And I hate ever making people think one way or the other when I talk about asexuality. So when I talk about it, I try to cover all bases. I'm on everybody's side, covering every type of ace out there to make sure that you know that there's so many, like, different... It's a whole spectrum. There's a whole mixed bag of people in here that none are the same. There's not all aces are the same people. But then I feel like people are trying to catch me and figuring out what am I, like, up for? And it's weird, and it's creepy, and it's invasive. And I like to talk about all sides of it because I don't like people. But then, it's one of those situations where if somebody says... hey, I heard X about you. And if you were to say, well, it really shouldn't matter whether X is true or not, they think that that's an admission that it's true, because if it wasn't, you would just say, no, that's not true, but even if you're lying or not. And I hate that, because I am more gonna fight for what is correct and accurate, and I don't care what it makes me look like in the end, because if the principle and the point is that it shouldn't matter, you're damn right that's the side I'm gonna take, and I don't care what it makes you think of me, because it's what's correct. I'm a big fan of, I want the most accurate information, right? It isn't about me. I just want the most accurate information to be out there. But then try and corner you and get you to talk about invasive things, or they're like, what do you... There's so many questions. There's so many ones that are not appropriate. Or just statements of, I wouldn't date you, or this is too important to me to be able to date someone ace. And it's like, why are you even... missing the point that sexuality in general is not about how much sex you have. And people don't get that about asexuality because they think that's what it's about. And it isn't. And I hate when the conversation is around whether it is or isn't. Name another sexuality that is about how much and how often or how interested you are in sex. That's not what it's about. It's about who you are sexually attracted to. So why would you assume suddenly that there's another... It's just a weird assumption about it. Sexuality is not and has never been about how interested you are in having sex. And that's the same case for asexuals. And I won't ever shut up about it, because no one will ever stop having that assumption unless we talk about it more. And I get that it's confusing. And hey, that's why I'm doing this stream, because I want people to ask questions, because I'm just so sick and tired of the same stereotype. Angelic Winter, thank you for gifting 5 subs. And just basically reducing the entire sexuality down to that one thing. That's I think what bothers me the most about it. Sniff made a good comment on my tweet today, being like it's like completely devaluing all of the rest of what makes the sexuality what it is, and it isn't about that. No sexuality is about that. And I don't like it being reduced to being about that. Is there an arrow day? Probably is one. What it basically is that you have to get to know the people. It's the same thing, because I don't doubt that we have all heard the same argument, but it's like same side, or different side of the same coin, where people are like, I wouldn't date someone who's bisexual because you would always worry that you're not satisfying them enough because they like more than one gender, or they're more likely to cheat on you because they're interested in twice as many people, or more. That's not correct. That's not right. And it's the same kind of principle of it's completely invalidating. It's wrong. It's just wrong, first of all. It's the same thing. It's about people. It's about people. And it's about yourself. But people get this one so wrong. So wrong. And I've dealt with like the most out-of-pocket things. And it makes it hard for me to not feel like I wish I never came out. I think that's where I don't like people making me feel that way either. And I know how hard it is. So also shout out to every ace who's ever had this be a problem, because it is exhausting. It's dumb. It's infuriating. And it makes you wish you just didn't tell anyone. Because also no one needs to know if you don't want them to. It only is a matter of needing to know when you're in a partnership at a certain point, if it becomes even relevant. I don't even know that it necessarily ever will, but I think if you have a partner that you truly love and want to know you fully, you'd eventually tell them. But, you know, I keep losing my train of thought, but it's very tiring to fight for existence all the time. I think that's very relatable probably for a lot of people right now. And that's true. And we're not asking for much. I get not knowing what it means. I get not understanding what it means, or it is complex and it's deep and it's about so much more than sex. In fact, it is almost arguably not about sex. You could argue it is actually not about it at all, just like all other sexualities, but it's a whole conversation. It's a whole identity. It's a whole spectrum of people that are all sorts of different and do whatever they want, and you don't need to know what they're doing to respect them. It's so annoying when people say you haven't met the right person yet. I hate that because I'm also dating. Like I have been out on dates. I'm looking always for the person I will spend my life with. You're damn right I'm gonna find the right person, but I don't know what you're talking about it for because it's not relevant. It has nothing to do with asexuals. Are you ace because you look good in any suit? I was like, where's this going? I also, on that first ace video I ever made, I got a lot of comments of people being like, you're a pretty girl, you don't have anything to worry about. And I was like, I want to vomit. That's disgusting, first of all. Like, what is that even? What does my looks have to do with anything now? Because I've never had that be brought into the situation. That's random. That has nothing to do with anything. But it's gross at the same time. Because I still go back to that video and I go sort newest comments, and there's still people coming around finding that video, saying a joke or like something dumb because they don't actually, they're not nice people. But then you get a few of those and it's like, that's what? That's not a compliment. That's not okay. It's so weird too. And that's not, I wasn't worried about that. Yeah, it's International Ace Day. I want to answer lots of questions because I also want people to not be scared of asking questions, because I think what I would rather is people ask questions they don't know, like, ask questions that they're afraid to ask rather than just go with whatever assumption they've got in their mind. Just please ask questions. I think we all are able to use our brains to figure out what are appropriate questions, what are needed for you to understand a person. Do you need to know about what's going on behind closed doors? I do know that that question has to be addressed, though, and I know that it's going to get asked because it's the biggest question everybody has. But it isn't even really a hard answer. It's they can do whatever they want is the answer, because it isn't about that. When people say you're a waste of looks because of your sexuality, it's so out of pocket. It's so unreal, the things that people think are appropriate to say as soon as you tell them you're ace. It's like, what the fuck did you think was okay about that? Does it annoy you when people mix up aro and ace? I think that it annoys me that people mix them up and also misunderstand aromantic completely as well, in the same way that they misunderstand asexuality. And I'm guilty, because in that first asexual video, I say, because one of the questions is, do you date? Because that's, everyone thinks that it's the same thing as aromantic, but there's an asterisk here, don't think that that's what that means either. They're like, well, do you date? And I'm like, yes, because I'm asexual doesn't mean I wouldn't date. That's really not the same thing, because we still have romantic attraction. It's only a lack, or somewhat lack, of sexual attraction. But I said aromantics would be the people who don't want to date, and that was wrong. Someone very kindly pointed out to me in the comments that the same way that asexuals can do I was about to say in a relationship, out of a relationship, as long as they're an adult with another consenting adult, they can do whatever they want. And they will, and they do. In the bedroom, in wherever in the world they're doing it, they can. Same way aromantics can and do date, regardless of not experiencing romantic attraction. Or they exist in the spectrum, or the gray area in between, where they sometimes experience romantic attraction, maybe mostly don't, but definitely on the spectrum, fall somewhere along the line. Aromantics do date. So I get annoyed by people misunderstanding asexuality with aromanticism, and I think I also get annoyed at them misunderstanding aromanticism as well, even though I'm not aromantic. Why is today Ace Day? Is that what the question is? I didn't pick it. I don't know who did. Labels don't define us. This is the problem with labels, where I think as I get older, I'm even more wanting to let go of labels, which is a harder thing to do once you've picked one. But labels are such a good thing because, honestly, quite literally, they can define us. They can define parts of us that we decide fit that word. But then people take it and make it a box that you have to fit in completely in a specific way that everybody else does. But labels shouldn't be that strict. They do help us define ourselves, and that's the positive of them. That's the reason people like them, because you have a feeling, you go and search out in the world and you find other people have the same feeling and there's a word for it. That feels great. That feels amazing to know that there's just not something wrong with you. There's lots of people who feel this way. There's a word for it, and it's completely normal. It's fine. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. But then people really strictly keep you in that box, and then they don't open their mind to the fact that even though we're in a little label, it's a spectrum. It's a whole world of people that are all very different, and it makes you want to stop using labels. That's why I was like, I hate feeling like I wish I never came out as ace, because people just make my life more complicated where it doesn't need to be. Because it's just all about compatibility, and you can't know anything about me and whether I'm compatible with you just because I told you I'm ace. You can't. And if you think you can, it's ignorant, because that's based on assumptions and stereotypes. And it's not fair, and it's not fun. For anyone involved, because honestly, you're robbing yourself of an awesome person as well. If you've ever been someone who didn't date me in the past because I was ace, that sucks for you. Fumbled the bag. So I hope that makes people feel better. And also, it's okay for a label to define you, because that's like a little bit of why, and we're also allowed to shed them, change them, pick a different one. It is harder, because as soon as you pick a different label, there's so much out about you in this previous label, but we have to give a little bit of grace to people that don't keep up to date, maybe, with the vast changing way that you identify yourself. But also, if we all were a little bit open-minded, maybe we could see a label and not just make a judgment immediately. That'd be lovely. That'd be great. I'd appreciate that. Thanks. I'd really love that. Thank you. I liked having the label of asexual. If I was sitting here being really, really nitpicky about the definitions, I'm just going to keep fixing these because they're always wrong. I probably wouldn't be using it anymore, because I probably would say I don't know, really. I don't want to narrow it down. Am I more accurately probably somewhere on the spectrum, or demisexual, or am I asexual, but just don't fit in the box that people keep putting me in, so it makes me not want to identify that way? I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, I don't want to get more specific about it. I liked using just the umbrella term, and I hoped that people that were cool would be open-minded enough to get to know me. And I think all the ones that ever have were cool people. They knew I was ace before they started talking to me. I've dated also lots of people, so please don't sit there assuming, who I'm even talking about either, please. I hate assumptions. It's probably, if I did have to pick one big pet peeve, like the biggest of all things in the whole universe, it's that one, because it has just ruined my life since birth. That's an exaggeration, but it is always like the bane of my problems in my life. But I was right about one thing, and that's the cool people won't hear a label and immediately make a judgment about you. If they don't fully maybe understand it, they will ask you questions, because they'll like who you are as a person. They think that you're cool. They get to know you a little better, see if you're still compatible, because maybe they don't fully understand you yet, and they're willing to do that. And those are the people that you should keep around. And anyone who doesn't, you should get rid of them. Show them the door. Good riddance. Dodged bullet. Be grateful. Their loss. I should cosplay Ed Sheeran. That's rude. It's Ace Day. How dare you? I am asexual. Now at this point I'm like, do I even want to say that? But I don't like feeling that way. And you know what? I will keep saying it, because it is weeding out the bad apples. Pretty much. So, yeah. What do you think that means? Any questions? Any questions you still don't get? How do you like your garlic bread? I don't know that there's a different way that you could have it. Can you get it medium well? What does that even mean? I will say I don't like cake. I'm also like not fun because I don't like ace jokes because they don't apply to me. They're not funny to me because they don't speak to my experience, because it speaks only to a specific experience usually, and it's like, okay, that wasn't a joke for me. But I don't want to be a buzzkill if somebody else is telling those jokes and enjoying them. You have at it. You have at it. I don't mind. What helped you discover you were asexual? What sort of things did you notice? This is a good question because I don't think I've very specifically talked about it, or I did very briefly in Anthony Padilla's video, and actually a lot of the stuff I said got cut out, and I've never said it again, but now I'm thinking I was very okay with it being included in the video at the time, so I'd be okay with talking about it now because I assumed it was gonna be part of the video, but I guess it makes more sense that they can't include every single part of everybody's answers. But I don't know where to start it. I also was raised Catholic. So what we're taught, and I went to a very, very Catholic school, high school, run by nuns, uniforms, all girls, taught abstinence, no sex before marriage, no talking about it, no doing anything, no touching, leave room for Jesus type of teachings. So I've had a lot of people ask me if they think that being raised and brought up that way made me be ace now. I would say without a shadow of a doubt, no. It has nothing to do with why I'm ace now. I do think it helped me cover up, helped me hide, keeping myself in the ace closet, if that's a thing. Because I was allowed to join in high school the club called True Love Waits, which is all the girls put on a little white dress and they got a little ring for their little ring finger. Then we had a ceremony and we were all like, we're going to wait till we're married to have sex. And I was like, this makes it so I don't have to worry or think about it. Because me in high school, I knew at that point I was definitely not ready to even think about it. I didn't know what I wanted to do in that situation. I didn't even know how to talk to a boy. I had never kissed a boy. I had never dated a boy. I had only ever had a crush on a boy. Crushes, not just one. I had lots of crushes on boys. But I was weird, and I was different than other people, and boys didn't like me as much as I liked them. Which is very sad for a little Shelby, but that's the truth. So I used that as an out. I used it as an excuse and I used it as an out. And then I went to college. And I was like, I'm not really into all that. I really wasn't into all that. So then I started looking into why I felt the way that I did. Why was I trying to avoid this conversation, this topic, this thing to think about? I also did not have my first kiss or first boyfriend until I was 21 years old. Some might say that's late blooming, but I can't stress enough how much boys were not as into me as I was into them when I was a little younger. I don't think I was as cute. Or I was just so weird because in college, but definitely boys were interested in me and I just didn't want to pursue anything with them because everything was too scary. And I didn't know. I was dealing with stuff. I was also sad, if that's relevant. But basically, that's when I started looking into it. And I found the asexuality.org forums. I think around 20 is when I caught wind of the word for the first time on Tumblr somewhere. And I was like, oh. Started reading about it and I was like, oh. This is interesting. This kind of is everything I've ever been feeling. And I kind of sat on that for a long time. I didn't start thinking that I was asexual for a while, but I made like a little fake username and I was asking questions in the forums and stuff. And then eventually, fast forward to me having my first boyfriend. He did not love that I hadn't ever had anyone, because I had decided I even had a kiss before him. So he was very pressuring and very not kind and worst person on planet Earth, basically. And I didn't even know yet that I was ace. I just had caught wind of it. I was kind of looking into it, but I definitely knew I wasn't ready to do anything with this man that was so awful to me. So I was like, definitely peace out. That's not for me because I'm not ready. I'm still discovering parts of myself. I'm still dealing with the fact that I was raised this way and I'm just trying to fully understand myself. And he did very awful things that you should never do to a person when they don't want to do things. And so then I had to deal with that after. And that's sort of where I ended up with. I dated another guy and then another guy, and all of them had a problem really too soon for me with wanting to do things I wasn't ready to yet. And I was like, well, then goodbye, because I can't help you. But then at that point, I started identifying as ace, and I was like, it's definitely correct. And I didn't even have any decisions made either at this point. And all of my boyfriends knew that I had no decisions made about what I was or was not willing to do eventually in a relationship. I didn't know yet, and I couldn't tell them yes or no, and they had a problem with that, so it didn't work out. Wasn't meant to be. Not compatible at the time. There are loads of people out there who will be patient with you and will love you and are compatible with you, whatever you are or aren't willing to do behind closed doors. Hopefully they'd be willing to. It's weird to think that people are just getting to know you and one of their first thoughts is, how far is she willing to go? It's so strange to me. I don't like that. That's where I'll immediately peace out. Even if regardless of if I would have or not. Not interested if that's what you're thinking about already. Any questions? Now I've told a little bit of my story. I talked about that club in Anthony Padilla's video. I don't remember if that bit got included in the video. I think he included little bits of me talking about a couple of exes. I think one of the worst parts was that the person I dated after my first boyfriend, all of these people, you don't know them. I can't stress enough how much I have tried a lot of times and have lots of relationships you don't know about, because I hate that people are always like, this timeline kind of almost maybe lines up with this person, and I hate that. I hate you for that. But the person I dated after then had an issue with me because they were like, but you did more with your previous boyfriend. And they know why. They knew what happened. And I was like, that's disgusting. And then we broke up. And then don't fold for people like that. I can't stress also enough how much I was constantly being pressured by people that I was just getting to know, like going on a first date with. And they already were trying to tell me, you're just making it too big of a deal. You just need to get it over with. You just have to, don't run the other direction. If you're thinking for even a second that you're the one who has a problem in that situation, dear God, it's not you. Not even a little. I can't stress enough. You deserve so much better. So much more. I am not comfortable telling you how long I was with my first boyfriend, because I do feel like this is too specific and there's no good reason to talk about that. I don't know why that would help anyone to know. But it only might serve to help someone figure out a timeline for me, and I don't like that. I don't like it. And I'm sorry if I sound rude when I say that, but I do have people that ask questions in a way that seems like just genuinely curious, but it's like there's no reason to ask that unless you're fishing for details to like be a little sneaky gossip about it. You know what I mean? I can tell. And they fake nice, so I'm on the defense with that. I don't like it. It's sneaky. I'm not talking about kids. That's definitely not relevant either. But I'm happy to answer any other questions about asexuality, specifically about the ace experience. I don't like getting into too specific of a detail about my personal experience, but I like talking generally about all of the aces you may come to encounter at any point. I can't also stress enough how much they are not the same. I dropped my ring. I lost my gold one and now I have to use my silver one. Any thoughts on ace characters in media? I don't know of too many that I've that's a lot. Okay, so I know of a few, but I haven't watched their shows. So I don't know what my thoughts are on them. I don't know how much they get into the detail of how big of a spectrum and like varied aces tend to be. I know of the BoJack Horseman one, which I do need to finish that show because it's really good. I know of the sex education one, but I haven't seen it. I know of... there's a couple others, but I haven't seen the shows. I haven't actually watched any shows with an ace character myself. I know of them being out there. So there's like 2. That's why I like that all of mine are. So if anyone's like, do you know, is there an ace comic book character? You could say, yeah, there's Charlie from the Unleashed, which is in Radiant Black, issue 5. Specifically in the back. Owl House has one. There's another show. It's called Awkward or something. No. It's like a single word thing. And oh wait. Maybe? Oh, Heartstopper, I think also they're not like, they haven't said it in the show or anything about it yet. It's just something I think from whatever media the show came from. The sister is ace, but they haven't addressed it in the show yet. I'd like to see the sex education one. I just haven't seen them, so I don't know how much I would like them. Any of the ones that I've heard of have pretty much been this basically same type of how do I put it? Like just the same thing. The same type of ace. Same story, no expansion on the fact that it's I guess it's too complex to put in media as nicely as like just showing someone who's a lesbian or showing someone who's gay. Showing someone who's on the ace spectrum but not like sex repulsed, or like getting into the specifics. I don't know, I guess it's too complicated for TV. That's what they say. But yeah, I think I said that I would have liked if Wednesday is ace but is in a relationship with Enid. I forget her name actually, it's been a while. Hello! Hi, baby. I think that'd be cool. And like show it maybe pushing the boundaries of what you think is like, but they're ace. Let them do things if they want to. Let them explore that sort of range with asexuality. That'd be cool. I expect that to not happen. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it would be cool. It would be so cool. Can you go through different types? There's not words for different types. It's just the fact that asexuality exists as a spectrum. Within being asexual, you could say that you're 100% asexual, like you're full-blown ace. That doesn't mean anything or say anything about where you land on the spectrum of sexual desire or interest, or with positivity or negativity with sex. Those are different spectrums that are separate from asexual, because a person who's bisexual exists somewhere on the spectrum of how much they desire sex, because it isn't about the sexuality. That's just a separate thing. And just like anyone who's bi could be like, I like sex. Someone ace could say that. And they could exist anywhere between all of these different spectrums. And there's just no way to know anything about an ace as an individual without getting to know them and asking them questions and being nice and respectful about it, and not invasive and creepy. But that's really what I mean by types, is like, there's so many different people that are ace that will do different things, that have comfort zones in different places. Their percentages of how much they experience sexual attraction or not, all over the place. Their percentage of interest in sex, all over the place. And honestly, only if you're asexual do you understand the frustration of people not understanding the vastness of being asexual, because maybe it's only asexuals on Tumblr, but they either go between like being super like, I don't do it, I'm just here to eat donuts and watch movies, or they're like or they're like super far on the other end where they're like really overactive, kinky. They're all over the place. There's so many different types and different people that are also ace. And it's like, there's some crazy ones in there too. And they're all over. And you can't know anything about a person and what all of the things that a relationship might look like with them. No possible way to know just because they told you they're ace. And people need to be just more willing to get to know a person and not be thinking the first thing, how far are they willing to go? What are they going to be willing to do with me in bed? That's weird. That's weird, I think, even though I'm ace, if that's what you're thinking. I don't think it's an ace thing to think that's weird. I think that's weird. I also want to say, because I had this thought while I was tweeting, a lot of people in response to my tweet said that they think it's disgusting or some other word that people wouldn't have a relationship without sex. I do not agree. I think if that's what you need in a relationship that's important to you, that's not disgusting. That's not a bad thing. That's okay. Especially if you're open about it and honest about that. And that's necessary for you in a committed relationship. And that's like an important part of your compatibility. That's so okay. I don't want people to be like, it's really weird that people don't understand having a relationship without it. And it's like, I get why people don't want a relationship without it. That's okay. The not okay thing is assuming an entire sexuality of people is completely out of question, incompatible with you. That doesn't happen. That's unless you're gay. That doesn't happen, because obviously if you're gay, you're not going to date someone straight. But that's like, they're allowed to prefer to have that be a part of their relationship. But for them to say, I will never date someone asexual because of that, that doesn't make sense. You don't know them yet. You don't know what they would do with you or how compatible they might be with you. Okay, this is good. This is actually what I was waiting for someone to explicitly say it. I thought the definition of ace was that you don't care for sexual relationship. Nope, that's not what it means. That's what everybody thinks it means. It's not at all what it means. Asexuality, as a sexuality, has nothing to do with how much you have sex. That's not how sexualities work. That's not what they are. Is it probably arguable that asexuals in general as a group experience not having sex more often? Maybe, but probably. Just because not having sexual attraction might make someone just not interested in doing it. But not necessarily, not inherently. I can't stress enough how much asexuals are. They have different comfort zones. In a partnership, they might be happy to do things with the correct person. Or if they're demisexual, they are still asexual, but they might experience sexual attraction after a really close emotional bond has been formed. And might be happy to do any and everything, to explore whatever. It's not anyone's business. Has nothing to do with the sexuality itself. The sexuality itself, by definition, is experiencing little to no sexual attraction. It means people still experience it sometimes. It means even if you don't experience sexual attraction, that has never stopped a person from having sex before in any other sexuality, and it is the same for asexuals. People are out there having sex with people they're not attracted to all the time, but people don't fathom that that's happening for asexuals, which is just part of the stigma, part of the assumptions being made. But it's like no one else is thinking that of any other sexuality, or straight people are out there having sex with just people that they aren't attracted to all the time. It has never stopped anyone before. And if you just like doing it because it's fun or whatever, it's a good feeling, you can do it with whoever you want. It doesn't matter if you're ace, because it doesn't always apply whether they're interested in doing it or not, just because they're not attracted to you sexually. Or a person might not experience sexual attraction, but have a partner whom they love and would like that closeness with. And even if they don't experience that attraction, it doesn't have to stop them from doing it if they're comfortable. I also can't stress enough how much you should not budge on your own boundaries and push where you're comfortable to please a partner. Find one that's compatible with you, period. Don't budge on what you are comfortable with in that regard. Should we push our comfort zones all the time when it comes to like, let's go skydiving or something? Sure. But this is an area you don't compromise. It's not one of those things. So find someone you're compatible with. Don't try and change or budge or do things you don't want to. And don't let people tell you what you want to do when they don't even know you yet, because that's annoying. Hello, little precious one. Hi. I wasn't home last night, and so she's mad at me. She's like, how dare you? You know what's really funny is after I've gone away for a trip, like a longer one, when I come home, the night that I spend home, the first night, I sleep on my stomach mostly. She'll sleep on my back, trying to kill me, but making sure I do not go anywhere, because how dare I? Sex can completely just be about love. That's so well put. But that's like not able to be understood by some people at all, and don't understand how, if you're asexual, how could you have sex, or why would you even identify that way? Honestly, I'm thinking the same thing because it makes life harder, but it also weeds out people that aren't willing to get to know you. And it doesn't change your identity just because you do something or don't do something, because that's not what the asexuality's label is about. Like when you're bisexual, if you're a bisexual woman and you marry a man, that doesn't stop you being bisexual. That doesn't change your sexuality just because the person you picked was the opposite gender. It all makes sense when you talk about other sexualities, but as soon as ace gets brought up, everyone gets confused about the things that they already understood before. And it's kind of funny, kind of annoying. But all based on, I don't even know where this all started, of why people assume a certain way. Maybe that's where asexuality as an identity began, because maybe that was pre-knowing of the vastness of a spectrum that exists within asexuality, that maybe just the people that experienced a certain type of ace experience all collectively got together. I should probably look up this. I should read about this. Maybe. Where did it begin? And why do we have this stigma and assumption now? But also, why can't people let it go? Why can't they let it go? I've also had people tell me that I'm making it harder for people to understand by explaining the spectrum instead of just agreeing with their wrong assumptions. Or I've had people tell me I'm not allowed to change the definition and what it means. And then I tell them the definition and they're like, no, that's not what it means. It means you don't have sex. That's what it's always meant. It's like, no, you were just wrong. You were just wrong, and that's okay. You can admit that. But I've had it's like, you're telling me? That happens a lot. Because people don't like to think that what they got told at some point is incorrect. I don't know why. You're not even the one who was at fault for that. Just admit it's wrong and move on. I'm all about having the correct information. If I have something wrong, please tell me. This has been something that has gotten me into trouble as a child because I got told that I wanted to be right all the time by like my family, my siblings. What's going on over there? Hello. I don't want to be right all the time. I want the information that's being presented to be accurate. It's not my fault if I happen to be the one in that situation that has the correct information. But everyone needs to know it if it's not correct, that it has to be corrected. It's not about me being right. It's about the information being right. But sometimes it's me who has to be the one to say, this is correct and you're wrong. And then they're like, you just need to be right. No. You just need to be right. I am just giving you what's correct information. And it didn't make sense to me that other people wouldn't want the correct information. If I've been going on believing something my whole life and someone's like, actually, that's not what that really means, or that's not really how that works. Please, oh my God, I need to know. I need to know what is the correct information. I like learning. I like knowing. I don't like to spread the incorrect information because it's wrong. And that would bother me to know that I'm spreading some wrong information. How can someone who's not ace support their ace partner? I mean, they could tell you, because an ace's needs will be different, just like any person in a partnership's needs might be different. Everyone has different needs in a relationship. Don't push their boundaries. Find out what they're comfortable with if you're like just getting to know them and you want to be respectful. And also don't feel like you have to stay in a relationship if you don't feel like it's compatible because you're not getting what you need. Don't try and change what you need or compromise on what you need to make a relationship work. Find the people you're compatible with. There will be so many out there. There's no point in sticking with someone and trying to make it compatible if it just really, truly isn't. I'm going to go do a weird thing because I do it often. I take a little break and I get Vaseline because I'm never going to have chapped lips ever in my entire life. You better believe it. I'm back. Oh, hello. Hello. I just walked away for a moment and back. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Happy Ace Day. Oh, my stomach just made a sound. Hello. Hello, welcome. Hello. If you didn't read the title, we are having a very specific, I don't want to call it a weird stream, but it isn't also a very common stream. But today's international asexual day, so we're talking about it because I'm asexual. Somebody said, have you done polysexual yet? Like, talk about it? No, and I never will because I don't have any experience with it. Don't know that I would be a very good source of information about it because I wouldn't identify that way. And the only reason we're having a stream and talking about what it means is because I am ace. And I know what it means. And I can speak to my experience, fellow ace experiences, and whatnot. Is the internet a good place to learn about asexuality, or is elsewhere better? I'll be honest, I learned all about it from the internet only. But shout out to my mod, Katie, I think is the one, who gave me a recommendation of a book. So I bought it and I haven't gotten it yet, called Ace, What Asexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and the Meaning of Sex. And I'm very excited to read it because apparently it's very, very, very good. Explores all the whole world of asexuality and all of the different types of people that exist and identify this way. And I can't wait to read it. I want to make sure that's not incorrect. I'm pretty sure it was Katie who linked the book and she said it was really good. So I'll read it and I'll let you know, but everything that I know about it at this point in my life, and that's many years of reading about it, experiencing it, talking to other people who have this experience, or what their experience is being asexual, all of it came from the internet. So it's not a bad place to learn things. It's just, you have to be careful, you know? You gotta be alert and vigilant when you're learning stuff on the internet. Honestly, anywhere, to be honest, but, is there any good signs that you're ace? I don't like to agree that there are any specific signs because I've had people tell me they knew they were ace because they didn't have crushes as a kid. And I was like, that, first of all, doesn't sound like asexuality at all. It might be aromanticism, might not be. Maybe asexuals didn't have a crush. I did, lots. I love having crushes on boys. But I don't think there is one sign. If you exist in this world and you're like, I don't really want to have sex, that doesn't even necessarily mean that you're asexual. So it's really just, you have to decide for yourself. You have to explore all there is to explore about it. Also, don't rush into needing to decide. I had a comment on my tweet today that was like somebody saying they started reading into asexuality and they're like, I'm really scared because I think I might identify this way, but I'm really, really young, so I don't know. Don't sweat it. Don't even worry about it. Don't be thinking about labels or anything if you're that young anyways. Just go out and live your experience as a human being. Like who you like. Be comfortable where you're comfortable. Worry about if there's a label for it or a word later, and just know that there isn't anything wrong with you, or if you're experiencing things different from the people around you. But you do not have to rush into knowing the word for the experience you're having if you don't even fully understand that yet. Don't rush to it, especially if you're young. Just go live your life. Go like people, whoever it ends up being. Follow your heart. I needed a big breath. Sometimes I don't breathe enough, and so I have to do a big one. And sometimes I breathe too many times in once, and I hiccup. Just one time. Not a case of the hiccups, just a single hiccup, because I did too many breathing in one, you know. Sometimes it's just like that. Okay, I want to read about people's questions and things. Welcome to the stream. I'm sorry if this is not what you would have been expecting. Usually we're playing games over here. But also we're gay and queer, and we talk about these things sometimes. So if that's not your vibe, maybe move along. But we pretty much play Minecraft usually. This is not the most normal of streams that I do. Sometimes I do it. Lots of times I'm playing Minecraft. I will be playing Overwatch soon because they're putting out. Did I say soon? I will be playing Overwatch soon because they're releasing some new content. There's a new healer. I won't be playing him because I don't play healer, but he looks cool. Looks like he'll be sick. Excited for the support out there. I feel like I want to read some of the comments that have been coming through in the meantime. I feel like I just assumed that if you have a crush, then it would include sexual attraction to them. So that made me think I haven't had crushes, so I'm ace. Maybe that's what others mean about no crushes. Yeah, I would say my crushes as a child definitely had nothing to do with sexual attraction either. But you can definitely have a crush without sexual attraction. You can have a crush with sexual attraction and still be asexual. Because a crush could be romantic purely as well. So that's why I'm saying it might have been a sign for you, and it might fit your experience to be like, that's when I started realizing I wasn't the same as everyone else. But it doesn't inherently mean it's a sign of asexuality for everyone. That's why I don't like being like, what are there signs to look for? It's not like a disease to watch out for symptoms. You know what I mean? Lots of people are going to discover it in different ways, and all of them are different people that experience it differently. So I wouldn't say there is any straight up signs that you're ace, because the way that you didn't have crushes because they weren't like sexual attractive in nature doesn't mean that all the other aces would agree either. And it's not something to like be trying so hard to diagnose about yourself. You know what I mean? It's only a good thing if you feel like you're having this experience. You don't know if there's something wrong with you or not, to know there isn't anything wrong with you, that there are other people that feel this way. There's a word for how you're feeling, but don't feel like you need to rush into fitting in a box or something like that. There's also, there is no linear path, not only just to discovering your ace, but just to discovering yourself. It's just part of your self-discovery journey that you will always be on. And it might change. Some people's sexuality will be fluid, and it might even be that they were a sexuality before and it has adapted and evolved over time, or the more you understood yourself, the more you decided you would agree or identify with a different label or no label or whatever. Yeah. How did you make the decision to come out? The decision was made for me, kind of, because I told this recently, but I'm going to tell it again anyways, because it's a good story. I was watching Anthony Padilla's interviews because I liked them. I thought they were really cool, interesting. I liked listening to people's experiences and stories and just learning from them. And I was reading the comments while I was watching one of them, and somebody said, you should do an interview with asexuals. And I saw that he liked it. So I was like, if he's really thinking about doing one, I know that I have identified and felt this way for a long time. I was out as asexual before that point with my friends and my family, at least. I just kind of did that over time. I just told a person here and there as I felt like over the course of a couple years since I had started identifying that way inside for myself. And then, so I DM'd him because me and him were already like Twitter friends. We knew of each other. We had spoken to each other. I had interviewed for Smosh Games at some point. And so I slid in the DMs and I was like, hey, I don't know. It was my debut. I love that that's what I said and I didn't think of it. I didn't think about it. I slid in the DMs and I was like, hey, I don't know how you do casting calls for these interviews, but I saw that you might be thinking of doing an interview with asexuals and I would like to like audition or like just ask if you need an ace, if I could be considered. And he said yes. And I was like, this is me coming out publicly. This is me debuting. And I just kind of felt like I didn't want to miss. I wanted to do this interview. I wanted to be a part of it. And so I was like, that's decision made for me. I have to do it. And at the point I was already out for my friends, and it hadn't necessarily affected my relationships. It's complex because all of the relationships I've had at that point, many, were the problems wasn't specifically that I was asexual, but the problems had been just specifically if I was ready to do a different thing, or like I was still figuring out. I didn't identify that way yet, so just the issues were related to it, but not specifically about it. But then I've had other people be like, I don't want to date you because we're not looking for the same thing. And I was like, you only just know that I'm ace and you didn't ask me what I'm looking for, so that's definitely not true because doesn't make sense. But all of the nicest people I dated knew I was ace and still got to know me after because they were like, I don't really know what that means. And so I was like, let me tell you. And that was nice. But yeah. So once I saw that there was an interview going on with Anthony P's channel, I was like, this is it. I have to do it. This is my time, my debut. I also feel like I look so weird in that video. I don't know what it was about the lighting or my makeup or my hair, but I just did not like how I looked in it. When I don't understand a sexual attraction, what does that even feel like? Well, you don't need to know. It isn't a big deal to not know if you don't ever feel it at all. Because you keep moving forward, man. Keep it moving. You don't have to think that you're missing out on anything just because you don't experience a certain type of attraction. You vibe. You just vibe out. Keep it moving. Yeah. Any questions? Any stories want to be shared or whatever? That's the thing, is that people that do experience it don't understand what it means to not experience. I have also had one of my own friends tell me it isn't possible. Being asexual and completely not experiencing sexual attraction is an impossibility. And regardless of if I experience it situationally, whatever, that's not... It just was so wild to say that to me. And then, I don't know, they were really mean about it. I don't know why either, because they were like one of my nicest, sweetest friends at the time. And then I was starting to identify as ace among my friends, and they got really nasty about it. And I was like, ew. It was out of nowhere, which shows a person's real colors, to be honest, but also disappointing a little bit. Because I think I was talking about how I was struggling about it, like struggling about identifying that way, figuring out what I wanted in a relationship. I still hadn't, or I maybe had one or two at the time that clearly went awful. So I was still kind of figuring out what I was wanting in life. I wasn't even fully understanding myself yet. And I was, I think, having like a vent about it. And they got real nasty about how it's not really a struggle. And they compared it to, big mistake, don't do that. Period. But they were comparing it to their own disability and how much harder they had it. And I was like, that makes me feel like a shit person now for even talking about it. And I never spoke about it to them ever again, because that's not fair. That isn't fair. It's not a game. It's not a comparison. No one's here to win the worst life. We're not here to battle over it. That's an entirely different conversation that you just had or started. That wasn't anything to do with the one I was having, but you don't like me talking about me struggling with my sexuality? Fine, I'll never talk to you about it ever again, and also never talk to you ever again. I wasn't trying to say I had the hardest life in the world. I was struggling. I was upset, and these were my friends. I'm so sorry if you've ever had an experience like that too. I'm over it now, though. I moved on. Oh, I'm sorry, I scared her. She was doing a cute, like, on her back, licking her belly thing. Hi. I love you. I love you. All right. Anyone want to share? Anyone want to ask some questions? I also don't want people to be afraid of asking questions, and I will be upfront and I will be blunt with you. If you ask a question, I'll just tell you straight up, that's not one that you should ask people you don't know. But in the kindest way, I'll let you know, because I get that you don't really know where the line of like what's appropriate is and isn't. Although I'm being very generous with that, because I think that most of you do know where the line is and you think that you're allowed to cross it. But hey, ask what you want and I'll tell you, and we'll keep it pushing. What's the plushie in the background? Which one? That guy? He's a body pillow. That's a cat. That's also a bread. I love him. How did your family react to coming out? Not poorly. In the way that I kind of expected them to, and I'm very happy with how it turned out and the situation that we're in. My dad, no questions. Just, you go enjoy your life, whatever it means. I don't really understand, but wants me to be happy. That's all that matters. That's all that matters to me, too. Same for my mom. doesn't really get it, and also gave me the same spiel of like, you'll find the right person. And you know what? She means well. I'm gonna let it slide. Not to mention the fact that I think at the time she didn't know, and I didn't know, I was very much still dating. Like, I'm still out here. Like, that's the goal for me. I always talk about how I got one person for me. I got one person, I'm gonna find him. What was that little chirp I heard? Are you being cute? Are you being a cutie back here? She wants to play a little bit, I think. Okay. You will find them? I don't know if that was meant to be an endearing thing to me. Oh, I'm good. I thought you were saying the same thing of like, you just have to meet the right person. I was like, I don't need to hear that by more people. Does ace mean you're bisexual or not sexually attracted to anyone? I'm confused. Okay, the general gist of asexuality exists on a spectrum, which does not mean that it is 100% anything, but it means that you experience little to no sexual attraction. It has nothing to do with sexual desire, interest in sex, nothing to do with sex positive or sex negative, just simply little to no sexual attraction exists on a spectrum. You may experience sexual attraction. I feel like I want to do like the voice of a person that's reading the side effects of a pill that they're selling you on TV. When I'm like, you can experience sexual attraction if you are under the right circumstances and have an emotional bond made with somebody, then you may experience sexual attraction. But, or you might be gray asexual, which is someone that exists in the spectrum of asexuality, where you experience sexual attraction sometimes here and there, even to the same person. Maybe sometimes it goes away and comes back. Or you just experience it very here, like very far and few between, whatever that phrase is. I don't think I said it right. But nothing to do with sex. It is a sexuality. None of them have to do with the act of sex and how much you have it. Just about warning you may have no sexual attraction. Which doesn't really entirely mean anything. Doesn't mean anything about your relationships. Doesn't mean anything about your love life. Doesn't mean anything about anything except that you are asexual. It means just that. Hello. She's being cute. She's like antsy. I don't understand why asexual label is even necessary. Find someone you're compatible with, more or less. Why is a label even needed? Here's why. I was talking about this earlier. Labels are great. Labels are wonderful. If you're out there, like me, when I was like younger, having these experiences and feelings, and everyone around me was not the same way as I was. Something was wrong. Something was different. Not wrong, but something fell off. And so when I discovered that there was a word and other people that felt the same way that I did, it was an incredibly validating experience. It was really, really good for me to discover that other people felt this way and that there was a word for it. But as I got older, I less care about using a label because people try to put you in a box, like with strict, hard walls. And I don't like that. I don't agree with it. I think that labels are supposed to be a little bit loose, a little bit fun, a little bit funky. Not such a strict, hard, not so solid walls around it. But I do think they're a great thing because they help people find their people, other people that feel the same way, find their community, know that there's nothing wrong with them because the absolute number one ace experience is going through life being like, something's wrong with me. I'm broken. And that's scary until you discover other people feel that way and there isn't something wrong with you. That's a really good thing. But I also agree, at a certain point, a label maybe even serves to hurt you at some point. And it really just is about finding the person you're compatible with and vibe with and just go with that. But it's very, very good and very helpful when you're starting your journey of getting to know yourself, So we like them. You don't have to use them. At the end of the day, it should just be about who you like. And you don't have to have a word for the specific way that you like people. But some people like to have it because it's very, very validating for their experience. Inspector, thank you for gifting a sub. Thank you. Dinica, thank you for subscribing. Womp the Womp, thank you. Calzone, thank you for the 100 bits. Cable, thank you for subscribing. Jojo, reference here, thank you for the prime. Lilith, Garnet, thank you. Omega Lone Wolf, Alien Meow, Good Karen, Pinata Time, Fintress Orchid, Legally Bird. Why does this happen? Marachi, thank you for subscribing. Thank you. Should you come out if you could be a late bloomer? Come out with whatever label you want to at any point that you want to, and then if it ends up being incorrect, change it later. Don't be in a rush to put a label on something. But also, people don't want to hear that you just think they might be a late bloomer and they should wait. Just let them tell you where they're at. And if it changes later, don't be the person that's like, I told you so. Or like, you shouldn't have identified yourself that way so fast. Let people tell you where they're at. And if it changes, support and love them, respect them. If it doesn't change and it remains consistent, support and love them and respect them. It really isn't a matter of being a late bloomer. Just believe them when they tell you that they feel a certain way. This word fits the experience they're having and they would like to identify that way. It's not your place to question it, even if they end up changing their mind later. You just listen and understand and support. That's all you need to do. That's the only job you have. They're going to tell you where they're at. Because the last thing that someone who's coming out as ace wants to hear is like, you might find someone that makes you change, like feel differently, but you let them tell you. You don't have to worry about them. You don't have to worry at all. Inspector, thank you for another gifted sub. Appreciate you. Thank you. Any questions? Because you're still not understanding, you're not getting it, you're not grasping it. Is there ways to show off that you're ace when you're not out? I do believe commonly, if you're wanting to show that you're ace to people around you discreetly, I think that a lot of people who are asexual wear a black ring. I don't actually know much about this. I honestly don't want people now to know while I'm out and about that I'm ace, because more often than not, it has made things a little bit harder. And I like identifying this way and talking about it publicly on stream, especially because of the amount of people that have told me that they discovered asexuality and the way that they identify because of me. I would not trade that for the world. But when I'm out and about in my private life, I don't want everyone to know that. It's not for everyone to know. It's only relevant to the people who it's relevant to, which is maybe no one anymore. Honestly, it doesn't really, not anyone's business if I don't want to say it anymore. And it's just about who you're compatible with and vibe with. But I think it's, okay, black ring on right hand, middle finger. There is a ring that is the ace ring, if that would interest you. For the people around you. But not everyone who isn't ace would know that that's what it is. But if they are ace, then they might clock your ring and be like, oh. Oh. So that's a thing. I don't know of any others. People in the chat have probably been talking about it. If there are other things, the ace ring is a big one. Obviously the flag, if people don't know what the flag looks like, you could have a little flag pin, but I don't want people to know my sexuality while I'm walking around. I feel like it's a little bit invasive. People love having their flags and flaunting it, showing it off. I love you. I love you for that. I don't want to. Not for me. In my experience, no one who isn't ace recognizes the ring. And that's where you could definitely get away with it, because no one knows that's the thing. In fact, though, I would maybe even be careful. There's probably people out there that have a black ring on that finger and don't know what it means. And please be kind to them, because this was me when I said I liked Girl in Red and everyone was like, is she lesbian? And I was like, I didn't know that. I just liked them. I think they said right hand, middle finger is like the spot. I didn't know if it was a specific finger or not, but it is. But yeah. I'm ace and I didn't know there was a ring. I knew of it because I know of one person who does it, but I didn't know anything about, I didn't know there was a specific finger or anything like that. So I didn't know too much about it, but I've come to the point where I don't want people to know my identity unless I want to date them. Bingo. That's where I am. Except for all of you. In my real private life, where I'm not streaming to people who this is very good for them and helpful, and I feel so blessed to get to do this, and so grateful I get to be a little bit of a speaker for asexuality. But in my day-to-day private life, I don't like everyone knowing it, because it has led to people being like, oh, not into it. And it's like, what did you think it meant? Why do you think that? What are you doing? Oops, I just yoinked the cord on my speaker. Oop. I'm gonna go pour a little water really quickly. And I'm gonna get rid of the coffee that I had at 7 p.m. She's just here loafing. She's just here having a loaf. She's here having a loaf. Inspector, thank you for gifting 5 subs. That's so many. Thank you. Thank you. Also, if there are more questions about asexuality, I'm still here answering them. But I also have a thread on my second channel, my second Twitter, that explains, I think, in the why should I read it? Because I think that it has been my greatest achievement in putting words to explaining, because sometimes it gets complicated to explain also. Because on one hand, it's very, very simple, but on the other hand, it's incredibly complex and people don't get it. So I tried to put to words the best way that I could to explain the situation. And essentially what I wrote is that I get why understanding asexuality is hard. Explaining sexual attraction as being different to sexual desire and interest is hard for other people to understand. Also, understanding lack of sexual attraction is incredibly difficult for people that don't know what that means. Or, obviously, if they're allosexual, it's very confusing for them to think of people not feeling that way. But it's the best way of describing that is the way that if you're a straight man, you're not sexually attracted to men, and you know that. It's the same thing. But it's also a spectrum, and people experience it in it's a little different. Sexuality isn't about your interest in sex as an act, but being ace means sex might play a different role in your lives. For some, it plays no part at all in their lives or relationships if they're not interested in doing it. Point blank, period. Respect them. If you don't want to date them, no one asked if you want to, just don't. Because of the lack of attraction, that should be respected. For some, it plays a minor part as something you might do sometimes with your partner. For whatever reason you choose to, whenever you want to. Because you can do whatever you want. You're an adult. Do it all the time. Do it never. Do it a little bit of times. Whatever you want. Because nothing stops you just because you identify as ace. That'd be weird if asexuality stopped you suddenly from doing a thing. That's not how that works. For some, it plays a large part as many aces have high levels of desire, just like anyone of any other sexuality might, regardless of experiencing sexual attraction or not. Because remember, some of them do still experience sexual attraction to different degrees. And some do it anyway, even if they don't. And for some, it's an important part of intimacy if touch is important to them for closeness. And somebody pointed out that sex can be about love and not like a need to fulfill an attraction that you're experiencing necessarily. Remembering that it's a spectrum and many of us do still experience sexual attraction, whether it's just occasionally or under certain circumstances and level of trust between them and their partner. Demisexuality is when you do experience sexual attraction after you have established a close bond. Those feelings come afterwards once you like sort of have that connection formed, but does not exist outside of that ever. The only difference, where am I? The only difference is that our level of sexual attraction may make our relationship to sex different than yours. And you'll have to get to know us to know what part sex plays in our lives, to know if you're compatible, because we're all different and deserving of respect. Also, remember, being ace doesn't make it okay for others to ask really invasive personal questions about the details of your relationships. If you're not our partner, that part isn't anyone's business and not necessary for you to understand our sexuality. Boom. That's essentially the whole thing boiled down, I think, in words. Any questions? I'm just out here to have the correct information out. I don't have any care or desire to talk about my specific experience too much in detail, but I will be speaking for all of them. I'm going to have the backs of the asexuals who are like, I don't want anything to do with any of those things. Stop telling me that I should or that I need to or that you can't live without it because no one asked you. And I'm out here defending my aces who are doing it all the time and are still ace and identify as ace and are trying to get people to understand them because they can't conceptualize that for some reason. Star. Oh, she's into the bathroom. Isn't that just sex drive? Some have high, some low, some none. Yep, that's exactly why it has nothing to do with asexuality, whether you have sex or not. It has to do with your sex drive, which can be different for asexuals, just as it can be different for bisexuals, pansexuals, homosexuals. It's a different type of a spectrum, whether you have a high sex drive or a low sex drive. Nothing to do with your sexuality necessarily. People just might find themselves having a lower drive if there's no attraction. But not necessarily. Some people out there doing it all the time anyways. If they want to, love and respect them. I said there's two extremes when you hear about people talking about asexuality on Tumblr, and they're evil. Either the far one end of like, not at all, please only I want to eat mac and cheese and watch anime. Or the other side are like insanely wild and out there all over the place. Having enough for all of the rest. Also, physical attraction is different than sexual attraction because you can sit here and look at a person that's just a pretty person and you're like, they are physically attractive, they look good, and not have sexual attraction towards them because you're just objectively saying they look physically good. I think that's the same thing as aesthetic attraction. I don't know 100% still what a aesthetic attraction is. Or maybe some people think of physical attraction differently, but I always thought of physical attraction as like you look good, but that doesn't mean I am sexually attracted to you. You know what I mean? I think that's how that works. Aesthetic attraction is just defined as when someone is pretty. That's how I thought of physical attraction. So I don't know if I'm wrong about that or not. It's entirely possible. So asexual high sex drive is basically like college hookup culture of one-night stands, more or less. I mean, not necessarily. We're not trying to specify what it means to be an asexual who has a high sex drive. It does not mean one-night stands necessarily. They might have a partner and doing it however many times a day, whatever, or friends with benefits because they just, it's not a specific way that they're doing it. To say that it's just college hookup culture wouldn't be correct because that's not what it means to just have a high sex drive necessarily. That's just trying to be really specific about when they have sex for no reason, I think. I think physical attraction is like wanting to be close to someone, like cuddling. I have never thought of it that way. And I don't know if I'm wrong, but whenever people are like, I'm not physically attracted to him, I have never thought of that as cuddling and touching. I've always thought of that as, I don't think that they look attractive, like physically. That's how I always thought of it. I could be wrong on that one. I don't really fully know. Is kissing sexual attraction? Not necessarily. I guess depends on the context. Asexuals cannot like kissing if they don't want to or don't like it. That happens. Or they can like kissing but not like sex or have sexual attraction. Or they could kiss and also feel sexual attraction from the kissing, depending on how heated it's getting. I guess it depends on the context, but not necessarily. Kissing doesn't have to be a sexual thing, but there are aces that don't enjoy it. I hate this about the Anthony Padilla video. Love him. But I hated that they used my photo for the thumbnail, but a quote from somebody else in the video where they said it felt like kissing a wall. She didn't enjoy kissing. I wasn't the one who said it, but they had my picture with that quote, and I was like, that wasn't me. It wasn't me. I think when people say physical attraction, they mean sexual attraction. When I say physical attraction, I mean aesthetic attraction. Have I been doing it wrong, or are other people in the same boat as me, where maybe physical attraction, everyone's kind of been thinking about it a different way, sort of by accident? Because I always thought of it as aesthetic, like looks, not about sexual attraction, but I could have been wrong this whole time. That's why I haven't really mentioned physical attraction at all, honestly, till right now. I wasn't really talking about it because I didn't know if I was right. I thought of it as aesthetic looks. Because that's, when I was a kid, there weren't so many different attractions that we knew about, or at least I hadn't heard about them yet. And so I only knew about physical attraction, and that was about looks when I was a kid. That was like, are you attracted to them? And that meant physically, do you like how they look? Do you think that they're attractive? That's all I know as a almost 30-year-old. So that's what it meant when I was a kid back in my day. Maybe it doesn't mean the same thing anymore. I always thought of physical and aesthetic as an interchangeable once I learned what aesthetic attraction meant. But we only had one kind that I knew about when I was growing up. Because I had never heard of the phrase sexual attraction until I was a bit older. I didn't hear of the phrase romantic attraction till after that. And I didn't hear of the phrase aesthetic attraction until after that. So it all started with just, it was always physical attraction was the only one we knew. I think it maybe even physical attraction growing up kind of maybe included aesthetic and sexual at the same time. Because for most people, I think, who are allosexual, it might be you can't have one without the other. I'm not allosexual, so I don't know. But, you know, someone being physically attractive for me doesn't necessarily mean I'm sexually attracted to them. But I don't know. I'm a straight male. I'm not a touchy-feely guy, but I like sex and will do cuddle stuff if my girl wants it. Is that ace? There's no specific way that an ace is. There will never be a specific way. If you tell me, I don't experience this, I'm not interested in having sex this, is that ace? I can't tell you that because there isn't a straightforward, if you experience this, you are ace. That's not how it works. You could be, you might not be. It really is, it's up to you to figure out. I can't tell you because telling me that you have this experience specifically, I can't tell you if that's asexuality or not because it could be and it could not be. It could be either one, depends on how you feel on the inside. What feels right for you? Oh, for anyone who doesn't know what allosexual means, it's literally everyone who isn't asexual. So people who do experience sexual attraction and are not on the asexual spectrum, because obviously people on the asexual spectrum also do experience sexual attraction, but allosexuals are just basically everyone who isn't asexual. It is just the opposite. But I wouldn't say heterosexuals because that's not correct. It's allosexuals because that includes all types of sexualities exist in that too. Anyone who experiences sexual attraction. But not like demisexuals. They're not allosexual. Or are they? Wait, I don't think so. I don't think they go in that word. They're asexual because they're under the umbrella. But they do experience sexual attraction. There's a word for allo for romantic attraction, right? I would assume if there is, it'd be alloromantic, but I have never heard of it before. But it obviously is the hand in hand. There's the whole spectrum of romantic attraction. So it would be alloromantic instead of aromantic. I would be alloromantic in that case. I just haven't ever heard of that one. But there is always, where there is a sexual orientation, there's the flip of the romantic orientation. Not that they always align, though. Like how if there exists homosexual, there is also homoromantic. If you are homosexual, you might not be homoromantic. If you're asexual, you might not be aromantic. If you're bisexual, you might not be biromantic. I know people who are heterosexual, but biromantic. So it doesn't always align. But where there is a sexuality, there is also a romantic orientation. So, yeah. I do not know what Aeroflux is, actually. I would like to, if you wouldn't mind giving me the lowdown. Does aromantic fall under alloromantic? No, because they're opposites. They are like how asexual has allosexual. You cannot be both. If you're aromantic, the opposite is alloromantic. If you're not aromantic, then everybody else is alloromantic. And then ace is an entirely different category, completely separate. We don't include sexual orientations with romantic orientations. They are different whole groupings. We don't cross them. So if you're allo-romantic, that doesn't mean you're ace. That's the completely separate. That's sexual attraction over there. Romantic attraction is over here. Separate. I am a whole book of info. I've accumulated a lot over the years, as well as accumulated a lot of aces who are here and just listening. And maybe hopefully feeling a little validated. And that's why I'm also here to answer any questions. So if you've come in and you're like, I don't have a clue what's happening here or what she's talking about, I'm happy to answer. Although if I have already answered it, I might refer you to watch back, or I'll give you a shorter version of the answer. But I have answered a lot of questions. I can't answer the question of what is asexuality a billion times. Even if you don't get it, I have answered it a lot of times. So I might have to refer you back somewhere else, or to a tweet that I've made or a video that I've made where it is explained somewhere else. Because I could answer the same question over and over again all night if I answered every time a new person joins. Hey. She likes this little sunflower blanket. Oh, you fighting me? She's trying to fight me. Why is this happening to me? The hiccups. How do you differentiate being in the mood and being ace definitely? I don't know if I fully understand that question, because you could be ace and in the mood. You know what I mean? If I know what you mean by in the mood, you might find yourself in the mood and you're still ace. It doesn't stop you from being ace, if that's the question. If you're wondering if you can identify as ace because sometimes you're in the mood, aces get in the mood. I'm going to say something that I just got to get it out there because it's part of the conversation. Aces still get horny. Aces still do whatever they want to do. They still get in the mood. They still do what, they do what they're adults. They do whatever they want to do. They do experience those feelings, though, still, also. They might do whatever they want to do also alone in their own bedroom. Nothing to be assumed about an asexual. They'll do what they want. Did you ever post the site or close off? Not yet. I'm still waiting for 2 more pieces that are coming. Does this mean asexual tension exists if sexual tension exists? I don't know if that's a serious question or a joke question, but I don't know. I don't know how to answer it either way. Asexual tension. 2 asexuals in a room severely not wanting to touch each other. Asexual tension. I can't make these jokes because it's not accurate. It'll never be accurate. Some of them are touching each other. I don't know how to say it. But I like the idea of 2 asexuals in a room, like just fiercely not wanting to touch each other. That's what asexual tension is. Just aggressively not wanting to have sex with each other. But I don't know. I can't have fun with these jokes because I always have to be like except, but they do sometimes though. But actually one of them might want to have sex with the other one. You can't stop them. You can stop them if you say no. That's not what I meant. You can't stop them from wanting to. I love it. That's a good joke. I think that's a good one. But then I'm no fun. That's why I was like, I'm a bit of a buzzkill because I love enjoying these jokes. But then I always have to be the person after that's like, but remember, it's a spectrum. They might still do it. They're different people. I can't not do it. It has to be accurate. That's like in my core. It has to be. I can't let it go if it's not accurate. And I have to be right. That's what people keep telling me. Asexual plus aromantic is double A batteries. Okay, this is good. Asexual tension is 2 aces being in a room aggressively trying to figure out if one of them is in the mood. Triple A batteries if you're agender too. That's too good. That's very good. Sometimes a joke is so good you laugh, and sometimes a joke is so good you don't laugh and you just have to sit there and say, that's really good. Almost a more respectable response to say, that was really good. I'm that person where if you make a really good joke and it didn't necessarily get me to laugh, but it made me go, that was good. That's like the highest respect from me. Only single A battery. Same. I only have one batter. One A. Just one. Oh no, my dude, you got it wrong. Stop responding to people who are asking questions if you're gonna have the wrong thing. I don't see where the question is that you're responding to, but somebody just put in a reply, sexual attraction means the urge to have sex with someone. Boom, deleted. That's not correct. Don't listen to that person. Don't answer questions from people in my chat if you're not like a billion% sure. But that's not correct. That is everything that I have been explaining for the last hour and a half. Sexual attraction has nothing to do with how much you want to have sex with a person. I guess not that's not the way to word it, because you could not be sexually attracted to a person and still want to have lots of sex with them. You know what I mean? So that's not the way of describing what sexual attraction is. It is complicated to explain from the perspective of someone who doesn't experience it all that often, to say what it feels like to not have it for someone, or because it isn't about having sex. I can't stress enough. Asexuality is not about having sex. It's not about whether you would or would not have sex. But then it's like, what does it mean when you're asking when you're sexually attracted to someone? But it's more than about sex. It's a bit of a more complex, deeper thing than just whether or not you would have sex with them or not. But like, that's where it is a little bit more complicated to explain. But that's not the right way of phrasing it, because it makes people think if you're not sexually attracted, that means you don't want to have sex with people. That's not what sexual attraction is, or that's not what it means. It's more of a vibe, you know what I mean? It's kind of more, you have to feel it out. There's not really a great way of putting it to words, at least that I have discovered, other than like that entire tweet from my second Twitter that I explained and read, which is like an entire conversation about it and how sex isn't what sexual attraction is, like, or sexuality, what it's entirely about. It's not about sex as an action. That is a different, separate type of a thing. But sexual attraction is a bit more complicated. It's like about a vibe. It's about vibes, really. You either have the vibes for someone or you don't. But if you don't have them, that doesn't mean you don't want to have sex with them. You know what I mean? It's complicated a little. Because sex exists without sexual attraction. All the time, people are out there having sex with people they don't have sexual attraction for. That's how you can explain it best, that it isn't about that. As an arrow ace person that gets in the mood, I appreciate you talking about all ends. I will leave no stone uncovered. I don't care if it makes it harder for people to understand, because that's what it is to fully understand it. And people are like, you shouldn't overcomplicate it. I'm not the one overcomplicating it. This is the way it is. And yeah, I think if people, this, I don't like talking about it because I don't like this. It's uncomfy for me to have the conversation about how there are aces that get horny and they get in the mood and they do whatever with themselves. You don't need a partner but they still might get in the mood to do that. And it doesn't only exist in specific sexualities because it exists separate from what you identify as your sexuality. It's just, everyone has a different vibe. If you find it too overcomplicated, you're not trying to understand anymore, and you're like, it's too much now, you've made it too hard, and I won't listen. It's funny because as asexuals, we understand more about sex than most allosexuals. I'm actually so glad you said that, because being someone who is asexual and on Tumblr and in asexual Tumblr territory, they are the most open about what they're like willing to explore or talk about. They're either the ones that aren't doing it and they're like, leave me alone, or the ones who are doing it are the most open, talking about things, just like exploring feelings. And it's so much more than just an act. Like it's so much more complex for people who are ace, and they're so much more willing to explore and see what they do or do not like, where their comfort lies, or they're just full hands off and they're like, no, and leave them alone. Leave them alone. But it's true that they are like the most, and that's what's so funny about it, because you might be out there not understanding how compatible you might be with someone who's asexual, and you just don't know. And if you judge them based on just the fact that they're asexual, that's a shame for you. There's so many cool asexuals, and just try and find who you're compatible with. Stop writing people off because they're a specific sexuality. That doesn't make any sense. Unless you're gay, you can write off straight people. You should. That's the only ones. But that's not about the sexuality. It's about gender. So it's not really, you know. I want to be able to go back to this information. I'm very, very really thinking about that this could be a video, because I've wanted to have more asexual video conversations on my second channel. And there has been a video I've wanted to make about answering questions, and this could be it. I kind of wish always that this wasn't here when I do a second channel video, but it is. But this still, I feel like, could be a really good video, cut down, informative. We'll see, or I'll just re-answer a lot of these same questions, because I want people to ask whatever they're afraid to ask. I'll tell you straight up if that is just something you should not ask someone you do not know. Some people don't know where that line is. I think a few of you are pretending to be ignorant on where that line is and just feel like crossing it, and that's not kind of you. So, but some people genuinely don't realize that the question they're asking is really invasive and weird, and why do you think it's okay just because I'm ace and you wouldn't ask that of somebody else? That's, you know, think about it for more than a second. But that's it. I was ghosted last year by a girl who was ace. Don't know if I did anything wrong, but it really fucked me up. Don't let being ghosted ever do that to you. Do not ever take it personally, especially if it's just, I don't know, I don't know if you even met them in person at all, or if you did and then they decided. Don't take it so personally. Do not sweat it. Just let it go. People will stop talking to you for whatever reason. People don't like ghosting. I'm indifferent. If I get ghosted, it's not about you. It's just if they've decided that it's not going to work and they don't want to have the, hey, I really liked whatever, but I'm just not feeling, you know. Some people don't feel like they have to give you that explanation. Every single time you just have an online conversation with a person and you decide you don't want to anymore, don't take it personally. Don't let it fuck you up. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. It is always nice when somebody is like, hey, listen, I know we've been chatting and it was nice, but I've actually just suddenly decided I don't really want to participate in this anymore. Like, that's always nice and great, but I don't ever expect it necessarily, because, like, if someone ghosts you, it's not about you. Just let it go. You don't even know them. Basically, unless you knew them for a really long time and then you got ghosted, I get that. If you have someone that you were close with for a very long time and then they just drop you and don't. I had that happen to me once, and I still don't know why. Don't let that, don't sweat that either. Don't know if this is too personal, but if you were interested in someone romantically, do you tell them that you are ace, or do you wait to tell them? I'm having a hard time personally with people thinking it's weird once I tell them I'm ace. This is an entirely up to you decision. It's something that for a long time I was telling them pretty early, and it created misunderstandings and complicated things in a way that, like, it didn't need to yet. Like, it didn't need to change anything that was happening. So now I'm not telling people unless I feel like it. If the relationship is going well, you're finding that you're compatible in all those ways, it wouldn't change anything to tell them. At some point, you'll get to a point where you're like, I really, really like this person. Maybe they're my best friend now. Maybe we're dating. I'll tell them now. You don't have to tell people. People aren't entitled to know that you're ace if they're dating you and you are compatible. And if they find out you have a label like that, they would dump you. That's gross. And I would hope by that point you'd realize, no, once I tell them this, they'll see that we're just compatible and I identify this way, and that doesn't change anything. But where was I going with that? People aren't entitled to know immediately all the time what sexuality you are. If it isn't 100% a relevant thing, just go see if you're compatible. You don't need to know that. You don't need to know when you're dating someone that they're bi, because it doesn't affect what's happening. It shouldn't, but you don't have to tell people sooner than you feel like you want to, because if they're only going to stop dating you just because you identify as ace, despite the fact that you have been compatible the whole time, agree on everything, it all was working until the label got brought up, dodge a bullet, get rid of them, throw them away. But I'd hope by that point you'd be like, no, they see now that it works, and then now I'll tell them and explain it to them, answer their questions. But it is dependent on how you're feeling. Mm, but, and lesbian, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Appreciate it. What else do we got? Yeah, at this point, I'm like, I don't have a reason to tell people because it doesn't change anything if like things are just going the way that they're going and we're compatible. It doesn't matter. They don't need to know until you're at a certain point in a relationship. People that you're not dating do not need to know. People don't need to know your sexual identity, your gender identity, unless you feel comfortable and close enough with them to make it a specific statement to them. But they aren't entitled to know if you don't want to tell them. What if someone is asexual or thinks they might be asexual but are uncomfortable by anything sexual? Can that also be under the spectrum? That can 100% be under the spectrum. That's probably a more common occurrence of people who are within the spectrum of asexuality. If you are uncomfortable by anything sexual, you might be ace. You might not. Still, that doesn't have to necessarily mean it. You might be. You might want to look into it. And then when you're dating people or getting to a point where you might date people, you might have to let them know. You have to just see if you're compatible. So wherever you're not comfortable going, you don't have to tell them you're ace if you don't want to, but you do have to tell them where you're not comfortable going. And if you're not compatible, move on. Move on. A lot of people think asexuality doesn't affect relationships, but it really does. Sex is really important to a lot of relationships. Well, that's correct, but also asexuality isn't about having sex either. So it doesn't have to affect a relationship. It might, but it doesn't necessarily. That's not like a strict statement you can make. That's one of the ones I'm trying to fight, is that it doesn't have to. It's just about telling people where you're comfortable, where your boundaries are, if you're compatible. But being asexual doesn't have to affect a relationship necessarily. That's why you always have to get to know an individual. Yeah, but it's going to be different? No, not even necessarily. There's not a strict black and white. It will be different with an asexual type of... You might date an asexual and you might just never really know what the difference even was. It just depends on if you're compatible. Some people might just not be comfortable doing certain things at certain points, and that isn't even an ace thing necessarily, but it's all about compatibility. And some aces, their relationships with allosexuals might be 100% just nothing, no difference, nothing going on, nothing that you have to say. It is a different relationship. It isn't necessarily, but it just all depends. I'm never going to make a statement like it is or isn't because everyone's different. Some allosexual people are weird when you don't find them sexually attractive. That's true. If you don't find them sexually attractive and you're in a relationship with an allosexual, they might think that's weird. They might be a little insecure and self-conscious about it. It could still work. It might affect your relationship. People who are asexual might still be sexually attracted to their partner, so it doesn't have to necessarily play a part in the relationship. All relationships are different in general. That's correct. That's what people need to keep that energy for asexual relationships too. They are all different. You can't make a blanket statement like it's different though, but it isn't always. They're all different. I feel like I never stopped talking for like an hour that time. All relationships are different. All asexuals are different. All different people are going to be differently compatible outside of sex as well. That's just part of it. But, yep, you just got to get to know them. What is asexual like in a relationship? Couldn't tell you because it's always different. Every single asexual will be different in a relationship. I can't tell you what it will be like because it will be different for every single individual person. That's why I hate when people assume when you tell them you're asexual that you can deduce anything about what a relationship with them might look like. You cannot. Not even a little bit can you know anything about what a relationship with someone might look like just because they told you you're ace. Not even a teeny tiny bit can you know anything about what a relationship would be like. And you just have to get to know people to figure out if you work. How can being asexual affect a relationship? It depends on where you're comfortable in a relationship. If you're an asexual and you don't have an interest in sex very much, obviously that'll affect a relationship with someone who is. That's not an ace only experience though. That's anyone could be uncomfortable with certain things in a relationship. It's all about compatibility. Being asexual, this is something I explained on Twitter, is it could change your relationship with sex and what it means for you in a relationship, what you do, when, how much, but it is all entirely different. Being asexual will only affect your relationship if the specifics around where you're comfortable affect, like, you're just not compatible, which is not ace only. That's just everyone's experience in dating, pretty much. If you really love a person, you would stay with them regardless of sexuality. As long as you're still attracted to each other and you're compatible. You are 100% allowed to decide a relationship with an ace person will not work for you because you're not meeting, the needs that you have are not being met. That's okay. Go find someone that works better for you. We'll all go find someone more compatible. It is completely okay to be in a relationship and say, I need more of this. We're not compatible in that regard. This isn't going to work. That's okay. You have to admit that and be okay with that, because you can't force people to fit and work in a relationship if it just really doesn't. It's okay to want sex in a relationship, and if somebody doesn't, there's nothing wrong with either of you. You just need to find people more compatible. It's not about being ace in that situation either, necessarily, but it's about not being compatible, not having the same needs or like wants in a relationship. Is it asexual to not have any interest in sex? Not necessarily. Some people have low libidos and are not asexual people. Also, low libido can be an effect of lots of different conditions as well. That is a side effect of different types of conditions that you might experience. So it's not necessarily, if you don't want to have sex, you have to be ace. That's not how it works. Maybe you are. You might want to look into it. Medications often can be a side effect, low libido. Some people just have low libido, and it's not like something you have to investigate and find the root cause of it. Maybe you just don't have a very high desire, and you might not be ace, because you might still find people sexually attractive. You just don't want to have sex with them. That exists also, which maybe also people find incomprehensible, but definitely out there, because just people are people. They're all different. I don't know how romance works without sexual attraction. You'd have to talk to some ace people. It works plenty for people, but if it doesn't work, if your romance isn't compatible with someone the way you'd like romance to be, it isn't about the sexuality. It's just that you're not compatible in how you romance each other. But romantic relationships exist without sex also, all the time. You don't have to have a relationship with an ace where there's no sex happening if you don't want to. You shouldn't. But you can absolutely have romance without sex. To ask, lots of asexuals will tell you that works. If that doesn't work for you, that's okay. That's okay. Don't date someone who that doesn't work for then. That's all. That's it. But plenty of people out there doing it, and they're comfortable doing it. You let them do it. You don't want to. That's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to be okay with a relationship where there's no sex with someone if you don't. You don't have to do that. I have a high libido because of T, but I'm ace still. You believe you're ace still. Yeah, because libido is not sexuality. You can have the highest of libidos and still be ace. Big breath. Do ace people still self-pleasure? If they wanna. It's like it isn't something ace specific that they might not want to. It's every sexuality. They do whatever they want in their own home, behind their own bedroom door, or kitchen door, or living room door. Some do, some don't. It's just all different people. You can't make any statements about asexuals that are like, they all do this and they all don't do this. That doesn't exist. That's not how any asexuality doesn't work like that. Like if you're talking about bisexuals, you wouldn't say, do they still do that? And it's like, that doesn't have to do with their sexuality. So maybe not. Up to them. It's way easier to understand once you get that it's like, it's so separate from all of these little specific, like you think that they don't do this and you think that they don't experience or feel this and they don't get this mood. It's so much easier when you let go of all of that and you understand it. It's just very simply, maybe no sexual attraction, maybe a little bit. They can still do whatever they want as an action. They can do anything that they want or don't want. You leave them alone. It's so simple, but then so complicated, but so simple once you unpack everything. It's like there's no rules, really. You just don't always experience sex attraction. Maybe sometimes you do, but that's it. There's no rules. You don't have to anything, nothing, you know? Yeah. I don't know what autosexual is. I don't know what that is, actually. So I can't answer any questions about that. I'm really only here to answer about asexuality. Not even aromantic questions, really, except the fact that they do still date sometimes if they want to. Same situation. You got to get to know them. They're all going to be different. I just realized the music has been over for like 2 hours, so I'm going to put it back on. What? What? Hello! Hello, welcome! Hello, welcome, everybody! How's it going? How we doing? It's International Ace Day, so today's stream is a little bit of a specific different one where I'm just simply talking about this sexual orientation and explaining what it means, because lots of people don't know. But we're usually playing games over here. We're usually playing Minecraft, and today we're having a little chatty, little educational stream in honor of Ace Day. Ace Day. Sorry, topic. Ace Flux. Excuse Debbie. Rad of you to talk about it. I talk about it so much too. It's my favorite thing on one hand because I get to fix people's perceptions of it, squash all the assumptions that people have, and get to educate people. And so many people have been like, because of you, I've discovered this identity that I didn't know existed. And that's so special to me. That's so cool. And somebody asked me what autosexual was, and I very genuinely don't know. I forgot that I was about to just Google it. Oh, people who are attracted to themselves. More attracted to themselves than others. Good for you. I love that for you. That's great. I didn't know about what that one was, but I think that that's lovely for you. That's fantastic. Assumptions. Oh, that's really good. Assumptions. We've had some good puns happening here. Do you have any general dating advice for ace people? This is dating advice for all people. It's the same. I'm going to tell you the same thing. Be open and honest about what you are looking for, what you want. Don't budge on your boundaries and where your comfort lies on something so intimate as like what you're willing to do in bed and things like that, because that's obviously relevant. But don't budge on that. That's not where you compromise. Just be open and honest and see who you are compatible with. Leave behind who you are not. Don't even have to tell them you're ace. Just tell them, this is what I do or don't do. And see who you vibe with. I'm big about vibes. I'm judging you off vibes only. And if I get a bad vibe, then I'm gonna move on. It's already the 7th where you are. Hey, it's still Ace Day here, though, so you're allowed to keep celebrating with me until it's not Ace Day here. Vibes only. I don't know what I described anything in life as before vibes became the word for it, but it is everything to me now. Everything is vibes. Open and honest communication. That's like that, yeah, romantic, sexual orientation aside, just communication and compatibility and vibes. That is key. Open and honest communication. You gotta let your walls down and be willing to be vulnerable with communication too. Don't be scared. So many of the Am I the Assholes we read over here about people that just do not know how to communicate with each other. That's the biggest dating issue people have. But you know what? It's always heterosexual people who have that problem. What's so hard about it? I'm guessing, oh no. I'm guessing it's like how you can love a person like a sibling or a parent. No. But no sexual attraction. It is not like that. No. Because you're not romantically attracted to your sibling the way that you absolutely can be romantically attracted to your partner, but not sexually attracted to them. It isn't like siblings. That's friendship. That's what platonic relationships are. If you still have a romantic relationship, but you're someone that doesn't have sexual relations, that's not like having your sister. It's not like a sibling thing. It's a little bit different than that still. And still also asexuals can do whatever they want in a relationship, whatever they want to. But it isn't the same as family or siblings because it's romantic. That would be more platonic, honestly. Because asexuals who have a partner that they're romantically attracted to, they might still kiss them on the mouth, but I don't think that they want to kiss their sister or the brother or the mom like that. This is what I did tell them: ask any questions, and I'll no shame in judgment, because I know there's a lot of questions that people have, and they're like, I'm a little scared to ask this because I don't know what's like not appropriate. I will tell you. You can ask them, and with all loving kindness and compassion, I will tell you if that's just not how it works. But yeah, not quite the same. The straights really don't love without sex. Same, you know, maybe some of them don't, some of them do. It is not my business. But for a lot of people, you can have love without it. And if you don't get that, that's okay. You don't have to. No one's asking you to. Just don't tell people they're wrong. Or, you know. The word is loaded. So much nuance to the whole spectrum of asexuality. That's why so many people we're talking about how, why do we even have a label? Why don't we just throw the label out? Because it's putting people in a box. Labels aren't supposed to be hard, like stone wall, solid. You're not allowed to be a little bit more loose. I don't think labels were ever supposed to be a strict, hard, solid box that you get put in. But you can let go of labels whenever you want to. Also, labels help lots of people to discover that there are other people that feel the way that they do, and you're not alone, and there's something wrong with you. But what was it? I forgot what I was gonna say. They help you find your community, know that there are other people that feel the same way as you, but it's not a box to be put in. And other people make it a box, and then that's when you're like, I don't really like this anymore. Gives me a little... That's why I say I'm ace flux. I don't think I've ever understood fully what adding flux... Somebody was talking about aeroflux, and I was like, I don't know what that means. Gives you a little more freedom and fluidity in how I feel, as how I feel changes. But that's just me. Thank you very much for stopping by, and thank you for the raid. That's a great way of putting it also, because I was talking about how it can be so difficult also once you identify with one label. If you decide later you want a different label works better for you. You go, so things change over time. Things are fluid. Or the more you understand yourself, the more you realize, actually, this isn't really the word that best describes my experience. This one is, you could change it, do whatever you want. Don't feel like you have to stay in a label once you've picked one. They can change. Fluctuating between the spectrum. That's fun. I think that's cool. It's fun. Is there a flag for that? I'm just curious. Every time I learn about a new thing, I want to see what their flag looks like because I'm about the aesthetics. Ooh, that's pretty. Ooh, what flower would we give this flag? Oh, wait, there's 2 different ones. Actually, there's 3 different ones? What's fluix? That feels like that's a typo. That's pretty, though. That's a pretty flag. You got a good one. It sounds like an anime. That's true. That's cool. I like that. I could even see, I'm not trying to, I was saying I'm at the point in my age where I'm like, I less identify with, I don't want to be hyper specific. But the more I learn about other labels, I'm like, wait, that one, I get that. I do get that. If I'm arrow ace because, I question if I'm arrow ace because I enjoy the idea of romance and intimacy, but then when it comes to the real deal, it gets icky to me. That's tough. If it has never happened for you, where once you find a person and it comes down to the actual doing things like touching and stuff and intimacy and romance, and you're completely turn off to it, there's a bit to be explored there. Or, somebody said there's other labels that also might fit, and other people are pointing that out, that is an experience that has a word to it that I don't know how to say. Cupio romantic? Describes a person who's... That's not... Oh, whoops. Describes a person who wants a romantic relationship but does not feel romantic attraction. So is that under the umbrella of aromantic? That's what it sounds like. Who wants a romantic relationship but does not feel romantic attraction. Or look up agosexual. What is that? There's also one, this might be this one. Actually, let me read this first. Under the spectrum of asexuality, lack the desire to be a participant in sexual activities themselves. They do get hyper specific. This is what I love learning about all the, like, you can really narrow it down. I don't want to for myself. I don't like doing that personally, but you can find a label for the absolute hyper specific experience you're having. I think there's also one, there is one for people who experience romantic and sexual attraction for people until they reciprocate it. And then it all shuts off. Maybe someone can help me with what that is called. If you are aware of that one. I've heard of that before. Where it's like you love the idea and like you like talking the back and forth. But then as soon as they reciprocate that they want to do those things, then it's boom, done. You lose it. Phrasexual. I know I've heard of it before, but I couldn't remember what it's called. That's a different one, as far as this is saying. Experience sexual attraction. Oh, never mind. That is it. Phrasexual is experience sexual attraction until they start to form an emotional bond. Okay, that might be different. I don't really know. It really just depends. There's a lot to be explored about it, but also don't feel like you have to go find a word for it. And if you don't, it means there's anything wrong with you. It's just a journey. It's just a journey, and only you can go on it and figure out what's right for you. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Zine. Thank you for the raid. Hello. Welcome. Lithosexual? What's that one? I'm learning a lot tonight, personally, and it's fun. This is the one I was looking for. Lithosexual. Someone who may experience sexual attraction but does not want it reciprocated. Or once it is reciprocated, you stop experiencing the sexual attraction you were experiencing before. It also is possible that you just might like the idea of something because in the movies it looks nice, but then the way that it actually feels for you is not the same as what like your idea of it was. And that just could be its own thing that you don't have to find a word for, but it's your journey to go on and find if you want a relationship or not, or you can have a romantic relationship, you can have love without things if you don't want certain things. It's just up to you. But, yeah. Hello, everyone. This is a really specific stream today. It's very educational. We're learning lots of stuff. Even me, I'm learning lots of things. The Ace Flex flag is really pretty. See, this is where I'm like, I would never use the really hyper specific ones. I'm not into it for myself. For me, I'm never gonna be the person that's like, well, there's so many words now and too many sexualities. Well, I remember when I was a kid, there was only one. You were two. You were straight or you're gay, and I'm never gonna be that person. I'm just gonna say, for me, I don't like getting too hyper nitpicky specific about it. But it's so exciting and nice and cool that there are so many specifics, because like it just is a matter of putting a word to an experience that lots of people share, and you can get really specific with that if you want to. Nitty-pitty. Ashton Moore, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate it. It does get you down a rabbit hole. And maybe there is one in there that is like literally hyper specific me, but I'm honestly not pressed about finding it. I'm very comfortable, secure with me, whatever label, no label. Just I'm trying to find the people I vibe with in this world, and that's it. Who you're compatible with, and who will be that person that you spend the whole life that you have with. That's the goal. That's my goal. That's not everybody's goal. I do vibe with you guys. Use a good vibe here, usually. Ooh, wait, I have to read this. This is really interesting, this question that somebody had, because I only very, very recently discovered that there is something here with what you're asking. I have a question. I have autism, and I've been thinking I may be asexual, but I'm not sure if it's that or just my total dislike of touch in general. I have just recently started to read about how lots of people who are not like necessarily, but there is a link. What happened here? Where's this a spot? I got a pimple on my neck. There is like a common link between people who are autistic and also identify as ace. It's just a common thing that is happening. Not necessarily everyone who is autistic might identify as asexual. Not everyone who is asexual might be autistic. But there's a link that like is to be explored about it. And it could be because you are autistic that you have these ways of feeling about touch. And that could still be a way of identifying as ace, I feel like, maybe. There's a dog. More neurodivergent people are queer than not. I'm pretty sure not everyone though. Obviously, yeah, it's not like an across the board thing, but I just started reading about how like there's a connection there of there might be an overlapped experience. Also autistic and identify as ace flex. I'm very interested in the topic. I still have to read more about it because I only just like got a whiff of this being a topic that people were talking about. I think from TikTok. I'm on TikTok too much a little bit. And I don't know how I've ended up. I watch a lot of TikToks about people who are autistic or have autism, whatever is the preferred. A little bit thinking I'm going to go talk to somebody about it, but I've been learning so much about the different types of experiences people have, and also the overlap between not only asexuality and autism necessarily, but also autism and ADHD. They call it ADHD. That there's a lot of people that have actually both, and it like one covers the other, or it's really hard to identify. And then especially in women, it's like extra hard to pinpoint and find that, and so many people go under the radar. Somebody just said there's also an autism and trans link, and it's like this. The experience of being autistic, I can't speak for specifically, but maybe I have, but I can't necessarily speak for it, but it could absolutely maybe play a role in what other labels you use for your identity, and it's still just as valid as someone who's asexual and not autistic, or someone who's trans and not autistic, but they might just be like little related cousins of feelings that you're just all sharing and swirling around in you. That's the way that I would be thinking about it, I think. Because one part of you will impact other parts of you, right? I think. Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it, I think. Also autistic here. I don't like to be touched, but I feel like outside of that, I'm also not interested in participating in sex, not because of the touch aspect, but because I'm honestly just not interested. And I don't know if you also identify as asexual, if that feels right for you, because that doesn't necessarily mean that you are, but maybe you do, and I feel like that would be, if that's the way you feel, it would be very valid to also identify that way if you wanted to. Or if you don't, then don't. But there's a lot of overlap, just in general, across lots of different things and experiences that people have, and all of our feelings and inner workings are all, it's like gears intertwined with each other. They're not alone and spinning freely. They're all connected to each other, and it's all just part of individual human experience, I think. Maybe? I don't know, it gets complicated. And I keep getting a lot of TikToks about it, and I'm like, why am I getting so many? ADHD and autism is a super interesting topic. Currently, the diagnostic manuals for psychiatric definitions also being updated, with ADHD actually being moved over to be a part of the autism spectrum. That's very interesting, because there is a lot of overlap. That's been known for a long time, and maybe a lot of people have both, or a lot of people, they called it ADHD, but it's very hard to pinpoint and like, where is the line that's separating the two for some people maybe. That's very interesting, because it also makes sense, I think. But there's always been that Venn diagram of overlap between autism, ADHD, and anxiety disorder, because there's all very shared symptoms and experiences and feelings between all of them. And maybe you have all of them, but maybe you only have one of them. It's hard to it's a lot of talking to doctors and stuff, but also I really don't want to make the appointment. That's the one thing I don't want to do. That's why there's also been a lot of a shift in the conversation around self-diagnosis, where at first people were like, you can't do that. You're not allowed. It's just blanket no. But there is a very valid explanation for people who have self-diagnosed themselves. No one knows you better than you. If you're going into it completely honest with yourself and doing the proper research, I think you absolutely can determine potentially, because that step of going to a doctor, even if they don't diagnose you, it doesn't even mean necessarily that you aren't that way, because it can be hard to diagnose, but it's hard to get a proper diagnosis, and no one knows you better than you do. And if that's, it's a valid thing to do, I think. It's got to be proper research. It's proper research, fully honest, like you can be lying to yourself about it to fit yourself into a box, but it absolutely can be like a very valid thing to do for yourself, because some people just cannot do that doctor appointment and can't trust the diagnosis of a doctor all the time. I was also watching a lot of TikToks about people talking about autism, where they were like, even the books about autism were obviously written by people that don't experience it, and are like saying things wrong about autism in their books about autism because they don't get it the way that they're supposed to, because they're not autistic. Anyway, Inspector, thank you for gifting subs. I really appreciate it. Thank you. A lot of guys like myself aren't touchy-feely guys, but do like sex. That's what all that stuff can be, separate things. Some people might like being really touchy and cuddly, but not like sex. Some people might like sex and not really be into the cuddly, touchy things. It's all about who you're compatible with. If you have a little bit of compromise with the cuddling, that's all right. I think it's just the sex thing that you shouldn't really budge on your compromise of like, well, I'll do a little bit for you just because you want to. I don't love that idea. I don't really want to encourage that. Sadly, a lot of times many health professionals also have subconscious biases towards giving girls borderline and boys ADHD. Yeah, girls very often are hard to diagnose with ADHD and with autism, or both. Girls is just harder to do. Also, if you're a kid who has ADHD, possibly me, if you get good grades, they're not going to look your way at all for potentially being ADHD, because they always associate not being able to pay attention, not getting good grades, and like not doing well in school. But if you're doing well in school, they're not going to look your way about it, even though you might just be really good at school, because maybe you have ADHD and you know how to be very efficiently good at, like, you find your way of this is me. I knew how to be very good at school without paying any attention most of the time. 90% of the time I was daydreaming elsewhere somewhere. I was just very good at getting good grades, and so they paid me no mind. Nothing to be concerned about over here. No one looked my way. But that's called masking, I think. I don't know if that's necessarily masking. I do know people with ADHD like to find, at least I was talking about this with Elena, and she is diagnosed with ADHD, and we were both like, we're very efficient with, like, we will see the path from point A to point B that is the quickest, most efficient one. Like, we're really good at that. We're good at getting the thing that we need done in the most efficient, quickest, or like specific amount of time. We're really good at being specific about how much time it takes to do a certain thing. Really good at time management when it's hyper specific. If I want 5 extra minutes of sleep in the morning, I know exactly what I need to cut out of my routine to be ready exactly the time that I need to be ready, specifically. However, if I have something at 4 p.m., I cannot start anything else because I might forget and then miss it, because I'm really bad at time management at the same time on a grander scale. So that sounds like ADHD, I think. I don't think I need the diagnosis at this point on that. I'm pretty feeling confident about it, actually. That's a symptom. Micro good, macro not so good. I'm so glad that everything just is confirming that this is correct for me. Maybe I am able to self-diagnose at this point. I just always worry that I don't ever feel confident being like, I do have ADHD. I just don't ever feel right. Or I do have autism unless a doctor tells me, but I think there's a point where you know. Yeah, right. I think there's a point where you know. You're going in fully honest about it. done all the research, have so many people telling you that it's exactly their experience and they have been diagnosed, there's a point where you just know. But I just still would never feel comfortable being like, I am definitely, because I feel like someone will be like, are you diagnosed? And if I have to say no, I've been caught, I'm a liar, I'm sorry, I don't know, maybe I don't know, but you do know, but you don't know, but you can't say that you know, but you do know, but you know, you know, it's tough. You have to be careful in self-diagnosis, but some people need to, I think, is like the argument of that's some people's only option, and they know it best themselves. Just you can't be a little liar about it, and you can't have not done the proper extensive research and whatnot that it actually takes. I'd absolutely love to actually try and have an open on-stream talk with you about topics like this at some point too. Love your openness and approach to the topics, backed by pretty extensive and research knowledge. I stream too, but both gaming, also mental health and openness. I just like learning, and also she just came out of her tunnel and I didn't know she was in it. I like being taught about things, and like I don't feel like in my stream chat I have to be scared about being like asking questions about topics. It shouldn't be scary. I also know what is appropriate to ask and what isn't appropriate, but I'm not scared to be educated by my chat because I think that you can tell I'm coming from a very genuine place of wanting to learn and also help spread the correct information. That's like my big thing. That's also something that I watched in an autism TikTok, was the experience of being told that you're someone who always has to be right, but actually it's just the fact that you need the information being shared to be accurate. It's not about being right, it's about the information being correct. They were like, that might be a thing for that, and I was like, uh-oh, that's been my life. Yeah. When I'm scrolling so far on Instagram and then a reel will show up just to call my habits as ADHD symptoms. That's also all of my TikTok. I hate scrolling on TikTok just to be attacked by something I was not prepared for. The disparities in healthcare in men versus women is astounding. Let's not even, because that's like an entire other 2.5 hour stream. And then some. We've been having big chats about it. I do think actually maybe around 9:30. Let's wrap up in 30 minutes because I think it's been like we talked about it the entire time, but it's also, I feel like I spread some really good information. Also, this is a good amount of people watching for a just chatting stream for me at this point and at this hour and willing to listen to this. Thank you all for being here. I'm excited, maybe for Saturday 5 Up. Thank you for stopping by. How to get off TikTok affecting me mentally too much. I also, it's not good for me if I definitely have ADHD to be, it's so hard to stop the scrolling. It can turn into 3 hours so fast. I can be laying down for bed and be like, I want to go to bed in about 15 minutes. And then it becomes 3 hours later of scrolling. And even then I don't want to stop, but it's too hard to keep my eyes open. I feel like I'm being tricked on staying there. It's dangerous. Also, I'm going to be right back 2 seconds because I'm going to get more water because I've talked so much and now it's running dry and I have to pee. So don't go anywhere. I think you still hear some music. That's good. I'll be right back. I am gonna have to wrap up soon because my cat is very upset about not being played with right now specifically. But not before, when I absolutely had the time to be playing with her before I started the stream. But she wasn't in the mood at the time. And now she's in the mood. Ooh. Oh, there she goes. Wait, I'm gonna get a toy. We're gonna play with her together. I'll be right back. Don't you move, Star. Whoa. Okay. I have a long skirt on, so I have to like pick the whole thing up. Oh, I actually hit her. That was an accident. I don't. She's crazy. She's crazy. Whee! I put a new ball on. Oh, there she goes. Galloping. I put a new ball on the end of this because she had ripped apart all of the little fuzzes off the previous one, and it was just shedding little hairs or little fuzzes all over my house. And I had to finally throw it away and put a new one on. She's gone now, but I hope she comes galloping back. Well, this was a good conversation. This was a great time. I feel very lucky that I get to even do this on a stream, and it is part of my living that I am making, and that's so cool. That's really cool. And I hope just more people are willing to just be open. Let's all just stop prejudging people so much. I think also something I feel very, very strongly and passionately about because of just probably the childhood I experienced is I hate for anyone who is misunderstood. I hate that for you. For things that aren't your fault, for things that obviously a misunderstanding because they misjudged you, because they prejudged you, they made an assumption about you. It hurts me that people do these things and it makes you feel misunderstood. It sucks. Ugh. I wish I was smart enough to write a book, but I think there's probably better books about asexuality out there that I already just don't need to add. I will read that one that Katie sent me, and I'll let you know. Because it sounds like it's a really good read, and it explores. She's looking at me from the other room, but she's not coming. Well, if she wants to play, she's play in this room. But I am going to end the stream soon. As someone with ADHD, ADD, I'm terrible with time management, but I also got a brain scan and found out my brain doesn't relax. I think it's my form of hyperactivity. Oh, I wonder if they could brain scan me. Because I also definitely have a lot of just anxiety all the time. I don't think that I will ever know what it means to be relaxed. I think that it's not in the cards for me. But then also, if I definitely have ADHD, that could be that, and maybe not anxiety. This is why there's so much overlap, and there's the whole Venn diagram of like all three circles, and it's all the anxiety disorder, autism, and ADHD. I don't know. This is why people tell me when they've ever slept near me, or in the same bed as me, or next to me, whenever I fall asleep. When I fall asleep hard, and I become so suddenly relaxed that I was not previously before, because I don't know what that means to be relaxed unless I'm absolutely unconscious. People have said they described when I fall asleep as my entire soul leaves my body, and everything relaxes suddenly when I switch into unconscious mode. And they're like, how does it... It's like scary for them, because I am so tense that as soon as I fall asleep, everything becomes relaxed. And they're like, her soul has completely left her body just then. I saw it happen. I also don't dream because I sleep so hard. Because I'm so tense all day long, maybe I'm exhausted. That hasn't always been the case. When I was a kid, I definitely was able to have dreams, and I would take maybe an hour to fall asleep, or even 20 minutes to 30 minutes. I'm pretty sure that's normal. But now as an adult, I fall asleep in a minute. The moment that I decide to put my phone down and go to sleep, I close my eyes As far as I'm aware, it might even be seconds later. It's almost immediately. I didn't always used to be that way, but I definitely am that way now. And I become so fully relaxed, my entire body just goes, you know, dead body mode. She's got it. I can't get it. It's supposed to take you like 20 to 30 minutes. If it takes you an hour to 2 hours, you might have a different kind of a problem. But for me, it's literally, it may as well be seconds as far as I'm aware because it happens so fast. And I feel so lucky that that's my experience now. I used to be such a light sleeper. Now I'm the heaviest sleeper, and I close my eyes as soon as I decide it's sleep time. I'm in sleep mode immediately. Ain't that great? Don't mess up my crochet blanket. I see that you're stuck to it, and she's gone. I have a new downstairs neighbor, and I left them a little note, as I do whenever I get a new neighbor, especially the ones that live below me in this building. I left them a little letter with my phone number to be like, hey, I have a cat, and I do my absolute best to make sure she doesn't have the zoomies at 3 in the morning, but she does get them. So I'm sorry if you hear her galloping across the floor, and I'm sorry. I don't know how much they hear down there, but I know the floors creak up here, and I can't imagine that that's not also being heard down there. But I don't know for sure, so I was like, I'm pretty quiet generally, but I am a bit of a night owl, so I walk around a little bit. I'm sorry if you hear me or whatever. They sent me such a lovely text back, being like, I have a cat too, and they're not really settling in, so they're running around, so I don't know what you can hear up there, but, there was the sweetest little text that was like, they even were like, what is your cat like? And they're asking little questions. I haven't answered them yet because I'm here, but I'm excited about my new downstairs neighbor. I don't think they're ever going to get mad at me and my cat. She was like, so far it's been super quiet, except the construction because we've been having that. But she said her old spot, her neighbor was a DJ who refused to practice with headphones. So I must be a dream. I'm also so often not here. She really missed the peak of having me be the best upstairs neighbor when I like half of the year was not even in this apartment because I was in England. And I still will be here and there this year, but not as much as last year. So like the guy before definitely had the best of me as an upstairs neighbor where I'd spend entire months not even in the house. The cat was still here, but as far as I'm aware, I hope she didn't have zoomies at 3 in the morning. I was checking my ring cam all the time, and it didn't look like she was having her zoomies at 3 in the morning, even then. So I'm a great neighbor, especially when I'm not here. But she seems really nice, and if I ever had like a time where I was like, oh man, I need someone to go in and check on my cat, I feel like I've always wanted to have a neighbor where I could be like, hey, if I need to leave for a few days, could you just go in and check? Because I don't want to have to pay for a cat sitter every single time, but also if I was leaving for a month, I definitely would still pay for a cat sitter. That's too much time. But it's nice to have a little neighbor that's like, yeah, of course. Give her a little key. Come and check on my apartment. Say hi to your neighbors. If they're nice, if they're not, just hope that they move out soon. I hope that they do for you as well. Yeah. I have a calico and a void. I like that that's how they're described. It's my favorite thing about them. Where did she go? Star! Oh, she's in here and I didn't see. She came in so quietly. She's by her little tunnel that's on the floor. It's on the end of my bed. And I think the best thing about a cat in a tunnel is that wherever you put it in your house, if she's getting from point A to point B and she's going near the tunnel, they always take the tunnel, even if it's a little bit out of the way. If I put this like on the way to the kitchen somewhere, she would 100% she'd take the tunnel route instead of like going around it, even if it's quicker. Cats love a tunnel. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, you're all tangled. I'm gonna let go. I don't want to hurt her. Sometimes she eats the stick because she finds out where the actual ball is attached to. Oh, you are? Hold on. She's actually stuck. Did you get tied up on your foot? I caught you like a fish. She got tied up on her little foots. Her little feet. Ah! Ow! Is that a sunflower? Yeah, I got it on Etsy. Isn't it so cute? It's very, very little. It's a very little square blanket, but oh, that's the crack I was waiting for. That's her beanie baby. That's her baby. Ha. What? How much of the gallop do you hear? Because I think it's one of the funniest sounds. Oh. Now she's on the green armchair. That's her spot. She's on top of it, though. High alert. Her tail's going... Oh. I got hair in my eye. Your cat just looks just like mine. That's because every cat that is a void cat look the same. They're all the same. They're all the same cat. Because we all know about how black cats travel different dimensions because sometimes they disappear and you swear you checked everywhere they possibly could be. And then later you check a spot. She just fell. Hey, all right, you gotta relax now. You're going too crazy. Jesus Christ. They're definitely gonna hear us downstairs now, and we're never gonna recover from this. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, they're all just the same cat because you know how they travel dimensions, and you can't find your black cat sometimes, and you check all the spots that they usually are, and you swear you didn't see them, and then you go back and check all the same spots, and then suddenly they're in one of them, and you're like, they definitely weren't there before. They weren't here at all. It's because we all have the same cat. It's the same one cat, and they're everywhere at once. Or they're never in the same place at the same time, but we, as a collective people who own a black cat, will never know. Even if you have two black cats and you saw them in the same room, no, you didn't. It was different. It's I don't know how to explain that one, actually. All right. I don't know what you're doing over there. But I heard something that shouldn't have been touched, I think. Leah Love, thank you for subscribing. Inspector, thank you for gifting a sub. I don't remember if I caught that one. Or Tragic Gamer, thank you for the 100 bits. Appreciate it. It's our cat. She's our cat. I like that. We all have the same cat. You guys, she's very well taken care of, and it's because of all of us. I think she's in the bathroom. Hey. I don't know. I will leave soon because she needs attention really badly right now, clearly. Black Cat Conspiracy time. They travel, time travel to be everywhere at all times. I like that. That explains everything. Oh, she probably has to poop. Star, go use the pooper. I wish I didn't say that. Or, as I really love to do, it's, quote, Christmas Vacation, the shitter. That is our family Christmas movie. I feel like everyone has one that they watch every Christmas. If you're a Christmas celebrating family, you have the Christmas movie. That's your family Christmas movie. Ours is Christmas Vacation. She's in the bathtub. Do you have fun in there? Someone's in the hallway. Do you have a shadow root, or is it just lighting? I do. It's red. It's like a little bit of a brown, orange. The lighting isn't helping. It's like extra dark right now. There is a shadow root. It looks way more drastic in the lighting. But I swear in the sun, it's a little bit not so dark and red. But it is a shadow root. It's a bit of a hefty one because we're covering up my roots. I also have to wash my hair, but I don't want to. And I almost ran out of dry shampoo, so there's not as much as I probably would have needed. But I'm running low. I also need to pay attention to which dry shampoo I'm buying because apparently they're real bad for you. I didn't know that until very recently. They're really bad for you. The Living Proof one apparently is like a very good one. That's like a safe one. So I'm going to buy that one and stop using the one I'm using because I don't know which ones are the bad ones, but I know that Living Proof is a good one. I'm going to go buy it because I'm out. Benzene. That's it. And Living Proof doesn't have it, but many dry shampoos do. So we probably shouldn't be using as much of it as some of us are, me. So I am going to buy the Living Proof one because it's like the highest recommended no benzene dry shampoo I know of. Siniste. I'm sorry if I didn't say that correct. Thank you for gifting 5 subs. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Hello. Come on, you want to keep playing? I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Oh. back in the tunnel. Now I can see her eyes in the darkness. Anybody watching Love is Blind season 4? What is up with Micah, Irina, and Kwame? What is that? What is up with that? Also, I saw today a TikTok from the guy Zach on Love is Blind season 4, and apparently people were calling him out for the song that he sings. I think it is, I don't remember if it's to Bliss or to Irina, but he sings a song and he says, I wrote you a song, and then he sings it. It's so awkward. I found it to be a bit hard to watch, personally. But he went on TikTok. Apparently people were calling him out being like, he stole the lyrics. He says that he wrote the song, but he didn't. These are lyrics from another song. He went on TikTok and he showed an never before seen clip of Love is Blind where he says that he stole some of the lyrics from this song that he loves, but they cut it out of the show. So it made it look like he stole it and said it was his, but he actually says in that moment, they just cut it, that it isn't his original song. He just changed some of the lyrics. I didn't even realize it was a stolen song, but I do remember that scene, and I physically got so uncomfortable watching it. I feel secondhand embarrassment, especially in these dating situations, so hard. I was like, I had to look away, but I also had to look at it because it was like looking at a car crash, but there were two of them sang a song, and neither of them were very, very good. And I just had such a hard time watching it. I skipped the song part, I couldn't handle it. It was so hard to watch. Oh dear. Elena was at my house when I was watching it because she had never seen Love is Blind before, and I was also watching it for the first time. So we kind of just watched that episode, and we both were like physically recoiling from him singing this song. And then the other guy, Kwame, also did it where he played guitar and he sang, and the first part of the song that he sings is completely out of key. Hello. Go poop. I know that's what you have to do. Also, some of the first kisses when they see the person that they propose to. Uncomfortable. They didn't have a good feeling for me, and I don't know. I don't think it's an ace thing because Elena agreed, and some of them were really uncomfortable and felt really awkward and unnatural, and I just really hard to watch. Physically recoiled and was like, ugh, you know. If my reaction could make a sound, it would be similar to that one that I just made, but I didn't actually make that sound at the time. But if there was to have been a sound, it would be something like that. I already don't love, like, this probably is an asexual thing, but it's not necessarily a sign of being asexual, or just some people might be uncomfortable with these things and not be asexual, but I just don't like all of the time watching strangers do things like that. Unless I think they're hot. If I don't think they're hot, I don't like watching. You should have seen when Game of Thrones was coming out, I was watching it with Megan and Mika, and they were watching me try to not watch the screen while like sex stuff was happening, because I don't like watching other people that are strangers to me with stuff like that, because I don't like watching strangers' bits. I don't owe you, so I don't want to look at your bits. That's the way I feel about it. That's probably a nice thing, but also maybe not, because you know what? I think that that's a valid thing to just not want to see some strange man's bits. You know? Also, some strange lady's titties. I'm not, also, equality, I don't really want to see strangers' bits, any of them, most of the time, if I don't know you. This is how I feel about it. Unless I think you're particularly hot, because I feel like, I've seen scenes in Teen Wolf with Dylan O'Brien that I was like, I really like Dylan O'Brien. He's my celebrity crush. So, you know, some exceptions, but most of the time, uncomfortable because I don't know you, you know? I could do without, but sometimes it makes you feel like you're in the mood, but sometimes it's like, it's these strange men and I don't want to see the bits. Sometimes. There's no reason for sex scenes for no reason. That's maybe how I feel about it. There have been times where I was like, this is a good reason to have it. It makes sense. I'm into it. It's cool. I'm on board. I'm not uncomfortable being here. But almost most often, I'm a little bit uncomfortable being there because I'm like, why are we here? There was a dating show, a reality dating show that I watched. And I think it was a Love Island season. And I do not remember if it was American, UK, or Australian, because I've watched lots of seasons of all of the different ones. But one of them, I was watching this with someone too, so I couldn't believe what I was watching. And I was like, why are we here? They showed start to finish, no cuts of a couple in bed. And I mean start to finish. They have you watch while they're under the covers doing that. Not the whole time. They didn't cut. It was like several minutes of having to watch this happening under their cover. You can't see anything because they're under the covers. But it's like you know when it's done because I was like, why are we here? I shouldn't be in here. I shouldn't be in this situation. It felt like it was at least 2 or 3 minutes long. Like not many minutes. That's too many minutes of watching the entire process start to finish. And you know when it's over. And it was so uncomfortable. And I was like, this feels like too much. I don't think that's an asexual thing. I think no one should have been there for that. No one should have had to watch the whole thing. I was making so many jokes. I'm real funny. I was making so many jokes. I'm like, they just made us watch this. I can't make the same joke, actually, because I can't do it with you. I'm sorry. Do I have dimples? I have one. You never get to see it because it's on this side, but I have one, and it's a very weak one. I have like little, that's just my skin though. It's my one. My brother has 2. It's not fair because he doesn't appreciate them like how I would if I had both. But I have one, and sometimes I put a little extra of a contour in there to make it like really pop. But most of the time it goes unnoticed anyway, especially because I lean this way more often than the other way. I'm not as confident on this side of my face because I can't see it as clearly because I'm turned away from the camera, so I can't look at it. But I have a half a dimple. I have one strong one and one weak one. I was saying somebody has to make sure I never do it, but I was like, what if you, because I saw someone show their process on, I think it was like a YouTube short of getting the cheek piercings, keeping it for a year, and then taking them out, and they got left behind with like the left behind where the piercings were left dimples, and I was like, a year of having cheek piercings, I feel like to have dimples, I was like, maybe I could see it, but I think it's not a good idea. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if I'd like having the piercings. I would like the dimples after, but it's a year of like, and it's not a guarantee that after you take the piercings out that you'll definitely have dimples. Some people had it completely heal up and there were no dimples left behind, but I think that I wouldn't like the piercings because I think I just might not be, I'm a dumbass. I was about to say I'm not maybe a face piercing type person. Well, I'm not because it's not real, but I do like this one. I think that people with cheek piercings is cute though, so I don't know, maybe. What if I would look cute in it? What if it was like a really itty bitty one and it's not even like a sparkly one? What if it was just like a solid steel little dot? I could see that being cute. I'm talking myself into it. Someone has to, I've told Megan a few things that I told her I was thinking about, and I told her she has to make sure I don't do it. There's not many things that I'm like, I definitely shouldn't do it, but I want to. But there's a couple that I told Megan, don't let me do it. I need someone else to stop me. One of them is bleach my eyebrows. This one has been revisited too many times where it's a little bit, we're in dangerous territory that it might actually happen. And I told her, don't let me do it. But also I could dye them back. I'm like so close to doing that one. Hi. Starlord almost kind of has like bleached eyebrows, except it's instead of bleached eyebrows, it's bald. And she looks great. She looks so good. And like I could have orange eyebrows and also different colors. Couldn't that be fun? And then you could dye them back. And also I think it could be cool and I shouldn't do it. I know that I shouldn't. It's one of the ones I told her, don't let me do it. The cheek piercing should be another one I tell her, don't let me do it. And there was a third. But right now I can't remember what it is of that I told her, don't let me do it. Oh, I think it was that I was thinking about dyeing my hair black. Uh-oh. But I'm not going to do that one. I'm thinking, because we were talking about what we would wear for Halloween this year, and I was like, by then I could have black hair for all I know, or dark brown. And I was like, don't let me do it though, because I'm going to want to go blonde immediately after I do it. And I have my next color potentially, I'm thinking, when I don't want to have this like orange, like peach orange light color, I might do, and like when my roots and shadow root are too much where I feel like it doesn't look good anymore, I want to do a color. This is a content creator called Kennedy Walsh, I think is what she's on YouTube. And then I can't see, Cat Lover 666 on TikTok. I think she's stunning. And her hair color right now, I'm like, I could definitely, it's a little bit more of a natural and a little bit of a darker orangey copper kind of, I don't even know what color that is, but I was like, it's almost what my root color is. I think when my roots get too long, I'm actually going to slap that on top and go a little bit more that route with the color I have. And then probably down the line, I will slap black on top. And I'll regret it and I'll go blonde again right after. So we'll see. I have to pinch this because I pulled it out so it's looser. There we go. Don't look up there. Sorry. I don't think I would ever do light blue, no. I never have. I have been thinking about a navy blue if I was going to be going dark anyway. That would be like a great time to try blue maybe right before, but a darker like navy. But then someone told me not to do it because they were like, but what about the blue hair girl stereotype? And I was like, what about it? It's not going to stop me from having blue hair. It's pretty, and I will do it if I want to. And if you don't like me because I suddenly am a woman with blue hair, that sounds like a you problem. I might do it. It would just depend on if it's easy to go from a little bit of a deeper orange like that to dark blue. But because it's so dark, I feel like it wouldn't be that big of a problem, or we could strip some color out and then go. I think it'd be definitely doable with how dark the blue would be. And then I could go natural dark brown after for probably a little while. Grow out my hair again. I also am like thinking about chopping, but at the same time I'd spent so long growing my hair that's under the extensions out, and it's like a few inches off of where the actual extensions are, and I worked so hard to get there. Navy blue is just, ooh, I saw a picture and she had a little bow in her hair, and I was like, that's so me. I would do that. I'd have a bow with blue hair. So we'll see. But I change my mind so fast and so often. Really don't want to make any solid plans, but I'd say definitely we'll be doing this style, or I have a few pictures of her because I really like her hair color. I would definitely go that route when my shadow roots maybe a little too far grown in. And my roots are too far grown in because I'm not bleaching it anymore. I'm just slapping red on top. And it's lifting a little bit, enough for it to not be too dark, and a nice shadow to the orange. I know it's very hard to get out. That's why I would do it only right before going completely dark brown for at least as long as it would take to grow it completely out. That feels like if I was ever going to do blue, that's the best time to do it, is right before I'm going dark for an extended period of time where I don't want to have, if I wanted to go blonde right after that, it wouldn't be an option, and that's scary to think about because I love going blonde. I love when I'm not blonde and I go blonde. And then when I'm blonde, I love going not blonde. Whoa. Oh, she's still playing. I thought you were done. Where you going? Oh, to the floor. To the tunnel. Cats love a tunnel. If you have a cat and you don't have a tunnel, you're doing it wrong. Can you tell how round she is from there? Oh, she's just that shape. I'm not overfeeding her. She just is that shape. Sometimes they are bigger like that. Sometimes they have a big primordial pouch, a low-hanging primordial pouch. They're built a bit bigger, and there isn't anything wrong with it. sometimes they're just a little chunkier. I think I'm gonna go. Girl. I think this was a very good 3 hours of chatting and educating, and I was educated, and it was such a good whole full conversation back and forth between so many people that I hope get to walk away and learn something new, or walk away feeling a little bit better about where they're at in their life, because maybe you got a little bit of validation from hearing that other people are having the same types of feelings and things like that as you, and we're all in this together. And I just got groceries delivered, so I have a few things to go put away now. And also I'm going to snack as I do it on the things as I'm putting them away. That's the best part about grocery day. So Ray of Sunshine. Actually, it's Raya of Sunshine. Rocket. Jupe. Fallen Angel. And Lesbian Lux. Get in here and thank you for joining. Also, let me show you just once. What are you looking at me for? There's a hole in the top of the tunnel. She's looking completely crazy bug-eyed. I just got this dress delivered from an Etsy shop that has since disappeared, so I don't know what happened with that, but I like the dress. It has like a full, it's very long, and so I'm wearing just like a little black t-shirt. It makes me feel a little baggy, like it's bringing my shape a little bit loose and baggier than. There's also like 3 layers under here because I also have a little tiny black dress under the black t-shirt, but I want a little black t-shirt. But it's so cute and sparkly, and I like it. It's nice. But Star-Lord immediately attacked it because I was walking next to her, and it like swept past her, and she attacked it. And now it's the enemy number 1 of the house currently, so I don't think she likes it. But I am gonna go send you away. We got so many raids today, which was so nice, because it's nice that those people that raided us, they wanted to send their audience here. They saw the title of my stream and they wanted you to be here to be a part of this conversation. And, you know, I really appreciate that. And thank you for being here and staying and sticking around and maybe following. That'd be cool. Go, 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 go. She just trotted away. Okay, I'm gonna go chase her. My girl boss too close to the sun and she didn't appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna go. Wait, 5UP is streaming and he stopped in here at some point? I'm gonna send you to him. I didn't realize he came here while he was live. Go say hi to 5UP. Go be so cool, so fun, so chill. Be nice. Say happy Ace Day. What do you mean already? I was here for 3 hours. Where were you? If you just got here and it feels like it's ending too soon, where were you 3 hours ago? We were here. I was here. I'm sorry. You came 3 hours too late. But I will be live tomorrow. I had to check. I don't know what day it is. I will be live tomorrow. I'll see you earlier. I had a very long, big recording today for something fun and magical that you'll get to see probably in about a week or so. But it took so long. I almost wasn't going to stream until I was like, but wait, it's Ace Day. And actually, maybe I'll just do a little chat, late at night chat. And that was nice. And it was good. And it was 3 hours long, which I wasn't expecting or planning for. I was actually going to go on Empires to do some stuff. And I might still do that. But go raid 5UP. Go be cool and chill and contribute to the vibes only in the best possible way that you know how. And I'll see you tomorrow.